And we are fucking ready.
Good evening,
So,
guys.
good evening. Good evening. Sorry, I wanted to do this because this person, what do you call, followed 3 days ago. So I'm gonna just put that out there. Thank you to Lissa Lee, our new follower. Hope you're in the chat. Hope you're viewing because this is gonna be a lot of fun.
There we just got the notification
Yeah,
on
that was me.
screen. Oh,
I'm good at what I do. Don't worry. I
I see.
am
So
professional, and I say that while my cell phone's making enough noise. How are you, Con?
I'm good, and you, Del?
I'm good,
I'm
man.
gonna go ahead and
Would you like to start an introduction here?
hello, Talora.
Hello.
What up, T? How are we?
Oh, I'm well. How are you guys?
We're good.
We're awake.
So now people who have been following for a bit get to see what Talora looks like.
Yeah, we make reference
is me.
often to an individual by the name of Talora because she is our resident Marvel
No,
wiki.
wait, this way.
Yeah, no, shit, that one.
That one.
This is our resident Marvel wiki, constantly correcting us on our shitty opinions about everything.
I already got told that I've got shit opinions by her tonight. So.
Oh no, I agree with her.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
So
Yeah, tonight we're gonna be speaking about Marvel Phase 1.
yeah, if we haven't guessed from the title already.
Yeah, we're gonna cause we've spoken about Marvel a fair bit. So I figured it would be good to just
Well, I mean,
go through.
yeah, and I think especially with Phase 4 coming out and a lot of it starting to be released, I think it's a good idea just to kind of start from where we were to where we are now. Law increased, yes. Welcome, Walla, to the chat.
Uh,
But yeah, so I think it'll be a good idea to sort of go from where Marvel started at to how the phases actually officially started and got
and
to
then
where
just
it is now.
entirely ignore anything that came before Iron Man 1.
In essence, yes, because there were 40 other Hulk movies that we do not include.
There was one Hulk, 3 Spider-Man, 2 Fantastic Four.
I think there were 5 Spider-Man actually.
There were
Mm,
5 Spider-Man.
It was 3
5
from
Spider-Man.
yeah, it was the 3 from
Well, the Amazing Spider-Man, and then the 3 Tobey
yeah.
Maguires.
the 3 good ones and then the 3 whatever the hell dancing in the street with a black suit is.
Oh no, that was Tobey
I think
Maguire.
yes, I know. I think I officially offended Talora on stream.
There were 4 good Spider-Man, and then one where Tobey
Tobey
Maguire was an
Maguire.
emo for like half an hour.
Yeah, this is the episode where we get to actually offend each other with our official opinions.
Opinions, yeah, I've already offended. Okay, so we'll dive in with the first of the MCU. Sorry, let me fix my lighting. Okay, there we go.
Again, guys, professional.
Professional.
We are
Don't have a
definitely
ring light.
professional.
The first, which is Iron Man 1.
Which I honestly thought came after the next discussion, to be honest. No jokes. I thought it came out afterwards. But then it still goes along with the whole argument that I think we're going to be having quite soon. Well, okay, so
Yeah.
what we have done is decided to give ourselves a bit of a cheat note. I mean, it's the first time with a guest. We're trying to make it a bit enjoyable. But I think we'll kind of start in order there, Con.
Yeah, so granted, when I did my rewatch recently, I did chronological, so starting off with Captain America, the
First Avenger.
And yeah, that is, in my opinion, the best way to watch the Marvel movies. But you know, if we're gonna do phase retrospectives, it's easier doing it as they were released. So the first one up is Iron Man, and yeah, that's the reason we have the MCU, because they didn't screw up.
Released, by the way, 13 years ago.
Ouch.
That is when Marvel and pretty much all the production companies that now work with it finally set off a ticking time bomb that has now sent millions of people to the cinemas to spend all of their fucking money.
Excited about superhero movies.
Yeah. I mean, before that,
I-
it was only the nerds interested in such things, and now it's like, oh fuck, even the jocks want to do it.
But I think that because of Marvel, the nerd culture has really entered into, the larger public zeitgeist.
Yeah, also
So
like common day life. I
yeah,
mean,
no,
you walk
that's what I'm
around.
saying. Like it's the normies now getting involved, thanks to the MCU, or thanks to the MCU, and that was all kickstarted by Iron Man 1,
Yeah.
which
So any
I
normies watching,
actually
wanna.
I actually got that's what started off my Marvel rewatches. I wanted to go and watch Iron Man 1, and I was like, let me just do all of them.
Can
And it,
can can we just? There's one thing I need to throw in here, and it's part a scene that occurred. Does anyone remember the cell phone that he used when he was trying to panic dial? That sideways flip LG cell
oh
phone.
yeah,
When he got when the tank got not the tank, the Humvee that they were
the
in got
Humvee, yeah.
attacked and blown up, and that is how old this shit is.
That's how you know we are old now.
Yeah, no, we saw that and we're like, damn, that is a color screen. How amazing is that? And now we're looking at it going, ew.
It's the fact that it didn't go like that. It went like that.
Yeah, it kind of went up and then flipped sideways. And it had a color screen, so all of us are going, oh damn, look, another one with a color screen. How amazing is this? You know?
I mean, but back then it was how cool your phone was entirely dependent on how many moving parts it had.
Yeah, if you could either play Snake or Bounce, you know, determined your wealth amongst your friends. No, so I'm very excited about this type of conversation. Yeah, taking it in a retrospective of the phases makes a lot more sense when you're talking about how they got better as the movies got released. Because
Yeah.
if you watch, first Avenger compared to the first Iron Man, a lot more would have gone into the first Avenger.
Yeah, it's because back then, a superhero movie wasn't a sure thing. It wasn't something that's going to bring people to the cinemas. It was a failure, as every other superhero movie had been, or a failure.
Yeah, we're talking about Batman here.
Relative
Elektra, Catwoman.
Yeah, let's not go down that deep, dark
Daredevil.
DC universe.
Oh no, Elektra is entirely Marvel.
No, but the rest of them very, very good. Storylines. If any imagery was ever involved.
But I think the overall story might have been cool, but the way a lot of superhero movies were handled was the problem.
Again, you're darker than the DC universe. Now that is officially saying something. But yeah, so let's throw it to Con. We'll start off with you, and then actually I think we'll throw it to Talora after that as the guest. You can join in, give your beautiful 2 cents. But I know Connor, because you went through the entire rewatch.
I think Talora's actually done a rewatch more recently than I have, because it's been a few weeks since I last did mine. So Wallow in the chat says, because only Tony Stark could have such an unnecessary phone just for the flex. Self-guided cluster missiles, cool. But can your phone do this?
He's got an actual point, and it's like, I can build you a rocket, that is fine. But can your phone slide sideways?
Can it like do a loop?
Yeah.
We all
definitely.
wanted that phone. Let's not lie.
Yeah, to be honest, I had the
I
LG.
had a phone that slid. It was like a screen, and then it slid up, and then there was like a full QWERTY keyboard.
That was an LG as well. It was the KS360.
Damn.
The LG
The
chatterbox. Yes, I
Chatterbox.
remember. It was the
Yes.
chatterbox. I do remember. I have a lot of stupid knowledge. Thanks. But yeah, let's throw it to you, Con. I know we all gave a little bit of piece on it. You.
What do you want to say to Laura?
No, I was just saying, I had the Samsung, the QWERTY Samsung.
There was a QWERTY Samsung?
There was. I have it here somewhere. I just need to find it.
How the fuck? Who stores shit? I always remember.
I've got a PlayStation
Laura.
1, 2, and a Game Boy like under my desk. We store
I
shit.
have pets.
I
do
do
I.
too. That has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, I only now have the room to store shit. I have a lot of empty space.
So, uh, the th- again, as I said, Iron Man is the reason why we have the MCU.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun. It had its problems, but looking at what the MCU is now, it's hard to contrast it against what it was then, because then it was still finding its feet. Kevin Feige did an awesome job, and the little bit of self-insertion of him, Happy, like him playing Happy, it's beautiful.
Fantastic way just to well, again, it's that whole idea of when a director or creator inserts himself into their own film or their own production. Are they cool or are they cocky? Are they both or are they just assholes? I
I don't know.
think
I
in
think
this aspect, I could definitely take Happy. I could watch a Star
I'm
show like
fully,
a
I'm fully like in for a Happy spin-off movie.
yeah, no, definitely. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, we spoke about Supernatural before, but the Robert Singer actually involving his own name, but different character playing him in the show. That
But
was cocky compared
there's
to
a
this.
fine line that you trade between it being like weird self-insertion, kind of gross, and it being like an interesting thing. Like for instance, a movie that comes in Phase 3, Ragnarok, Taika Waititi playing Korg, which was
Yeah, that
beautiful
that was
because
fantastic, and continuing it later on throughout
yeah,
the rest of the series played
but
perfectly.
I do think that not it wasn't Kevin Feige. It was
Bravo.
hey?
Was it John Favreau?
Yes, Jon Favreau. I
Yes.
don't think he knew what he was getting himself into when it came to Happy's character. I think he just thought it would be fun to have a part in a movie, and ended up
Doing what
being
he did.
like he becomes such a big character much later on, like in the in Far From Home. He's such a major character in that
Yeah.
storyline, because now he's the bridge between who is going to be the next Iron Man and
And
Tony
continuing,
Stark.
pretty much trying to continue Tony Stark's legacy.
Yes, passing down
Yeah.
the torch to
Yeah,
Spider-Man, who is
but
now
being the one who does it
Mm,
is like a key thing. People that
yeah.
usually they skip over, like, oh, cool, look, the new Iron Man, not the person
No,
who
but Happy has
sort of,
got such a big part because
yeah,
he's actively involved.
yeah.
I don't think John Favreau knew what he was getting himself into when he created Happy.
No, definitely.
And
I think he might have thought it was a joke at
yeah,
first, being like,
just a
oh, look,
small
yeah,
tidbit to be involved, but
yeah, but also like, oh, look, I'm gonna make this character, and then like,
I,
oh
I think
shit, we've made a lot of money. Oh fuck, this needs to continue. Oh god, what have I done?
I think Happy Hogan is actually a MC. Yeah, Happy
Yes.
a character in the comics in
No,
the
but
616
putting
universe
himself in this
in as the
as an
yeah.
actual character, and then being like, you know what, this is probably gonna fall and fail like many other superheroes movies have before. He just thought, you know what, fuck it, let me throw myself in there. And I was like, dude, we need you on set.
But
But I think the fan reaction to Happy is what's important. People loved him.
yes, and that's where I'm saying I don't think John Favreau knew what he was getting himself into,
Yeah,
and people loved the character, and he couldn't now back out of it.
yeah, but I mean, also
Um,
he's a fantastic character. Watching other movies
mm,
that he's been in, like Couples Retreat and stuff like that, he's an amazing actor. He
no,
always brings
he's
fun
really
and joy,
great,
even
and
though,
he's primarily a comedy actor in a movie that um, was still the fledgling, but still managed to do that great balance that Marvel has, and this is the reason why I think they succeed, is because they can balance the serious and the funny
yeah,
at the same time. They never go too dark. Well, except for one movie, they never go too consistently dark.
well, when they bring in Motherfucker Jones to not say motherfucker, I think it's quite important, you know.
Um, but John Favreau was excellent. Um, the music was great because it gave it really it was a framing device for Tony, because he is a rock star, and having all of these rock classics especially like I think it's
Playing
the first.
AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Led
Yeah,
Zeppelin, all of
there's
this.
there's a scene that sticks in my brain of him in the suit, and he's busy flying, and it's like one of those that cuts, it sweeps and it cuts in on the suit, and he's just blasting Thunderstruck, and I
Yeah,
just thought that was like
I
excellent.
think it's in Iron Man 2 later that when he comes out of the chopper, but he's jamming music immediately, blaring it
Mm.
out, and also projecting it into the sound system around him,
Yeah,
so
so
that
it
when
is
it
very
happens, he just
rock and
looks
roll.
kick ass. And I think
Uh,
it was amazing.
and another note that I'd made myself here was we had the V1 suit, which was thick.
The thick chonko first look at what Iron Man
Iron Man,
could
yeah,
potentially be.
which then also becomes the basis for the Ironmonger, who's the villain in this run of Iron Man story. But the V2 suit, if you compare, or the Mark II, if you compare the Mark II versus like I think it's the Mark 45.
Going from
Um,
the hot rod red and
Is that the
the
end game
gold.
one?
Hey?
Are you referring to
Is
the
that
end
the end
game?
game one?
Yes,
The nano
The
suit?
nanobots.
the nanobot suit.
Yes.
No, that's being like a big. But I mean, also like looking at the Mark 1 to Mark 45 to Mark million and whatever that Tony
I'm
Stark fucks
taking
around
it
with.
from the Mark II because the Mark II is the first iteration of the Iron Man suit as we know it.
Yeah, no, granted. But I mean, look, so taking it from Mark 2 onwards, you can also see the progression of the
Mm.
technology that was available and the technology that is being utilized and what he comes up with.
Oh, it's not the Mark 45, it's the Mark 85
Oh,
is
Jesus.
the nanobot suit. But I, though, to go a little bit off track from Iron Man 1, when you do, as the story of Iron Man progresses, you do get to see, like, Tony will fail at something. Something will happen. He won't have access to his suit. So he builds a way for the suit to come to him.
Yeah,
And then that doesn't work. So he builds the nanobot so that the suit is always with him.
when he gets
And
crotch punched, you mean?
and he takes each failure and he uses that
Build
to
on the
build
next.
and make the suit better. And granted, they do handle that very, very well, in that he is too busy working on that to be a like to be um,
Pepper.
with Pepper. And that causes a lot of trouble in their relationship because he is trying to become the best or get the best version.
Yeah,
But
sort of.
we do see that in Iron Man, where he actually goes against the Ironmonger and he uses the fault that he knew with the Mark II
Oh
to
yeah,
defeat
the flying up where
it
Where it
ices
hits a
up.
it
limit,
ices
yeah.
up. Yeah.
It hits the nanos, or not the nano, the stratosphere, and it starts
And
freezing
yeah,
out. And he obviously used that to build a limit to and a higher limit for the next one.
yeah. So
Exactly.
he keeps advancing the suit because
To
he
the point that
wants to.
he can travel in fucking space now by himself, just
Yep.
on a full suit.
He Some of the coolest movie fights are for me in Endgame, like where he just makes a shield.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think knowing like from Iron Man 1 the beginning of the story of how it started in a cave with whatever he had on hand
Yeah,
to
just
actually going to where he had access to anything he could possibly get his hands on, showing the progression of the certain stages and also showing the progression of the character himself, of the certain needs requirements that he would need at any point in his superhero career. I
yeah,
think that
and
was
then
a major step.
also like the suit then eventually moving on to being made out of vibranium. After having access to it. What,
Yeah.
you look
Yeah.
surprised, Talora?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, suit's made of vibranium. Because that's how he's able to have the Infinity Stones. When he pulls it in, that's why it doesn't just destroy the suit or his hand.
I
Because
just
only
assumed it was
certain metals could hold them.
adamantanium, the one he
No,
invented.
adamantium isn't in the MCU because adamantium is owned by
Fox.
someone Sony, I think.
But didn't he literally in Iron Man 2 invent it? Was that like synthetic vibranium?
Uh,
They never say adamantium. They just say he's created a
New element.
yeah.
new element. So you could say, yeah, it's adamantium, but it's not. It's not adamantium. It's not named adamantium.
But also remember how he didn't.
Canonically.
Yeah, he didn't use it to build the suit. He
You
used it
use it to
specifically
build
to
the.
build the
The
core on his chest,
Mm,
yes.
so that it would last longer and also prevent more
wouldn't
damage.
poison him.
Yeah. Then
But yeah, we
I
can move on to Talora.
yeah. So T, I know you also have
Like,
quite a
you
bit.
know what? I always enjoyed this film. It's such an easy film to go back to watch, and then you always have the good music. Like Connor said, the score is it's top notch. But I do sometimes wish that they'd stuck to the original idea of having the Mandarin as the main villain, and they shied away from that.
But
And
they've really come around with that,
they
and in
have with one
Madripoor,
two.
and I think it's let me just get the name of it.
But I think there was more to the Mandarin was more of an idea than a person.
No,
But
no,
I
it
mean,
is
it's
a
come full
person.
circle now. It's
Yeah,
It
come full
no,
has
circle now with
because
Shang-Chi.
well,
there's
because if you view it from the I think it's Iron Man 3 when they start involving the actual Mandarin camera or the face of Mandarin into it, they show you that again the Mandarin didn't exist as an actual being. There was always someone controlling
no,
him
they
creating
do
Now.
that is
now.
not so no, not now. The Mandarin has always existed.
Yeah,
It's all part of the Ten Rings.
it's
In
like
All Hail the King, which was a Marvel short, one of the Mandarin's um, people go after the actor and say you took his name and now he wants it back. So the Mandarin is a real person. He's been a real person for hundreds of years.
Yeah, but it's
And
also like the view that they gave of the Mandarin in Iron Man 1 was being controlled by Obadiah Stane.
but
Then
no,
in Iron Man 3,
no, not Obadiah Stane. The guy who owns Hammer. No, not Hammer. AIM.
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 Name-
Just a second.
it's
But
not
it's
Justin
Obadiah,
Hammer,
if I'm not mistaken, it's
Aldridge Killian.
No,
Aldrich
Aldrich
Killian.
Killian. Obadiah Stane dies at the end. Spoilers for a movie that's 13 years old.
Yeah, if
but
you haven't
the
watched it by now,
Mandarin
please
dies.
just. I think you're in the wrong place for this. No, but remember, Obadiah Stane meets them in the desert to get the schematics for.
No, those are just members of the Ten Rings,
Okay.
Yeah.
as far as I'm aware. So the Ten Rings is the organization that the Mandarin controls. The Mandarin is an actual person, and you will. I already know because of comic knowledge, but you will learn more about the Mandarin in Shang-Chi.
I can really see
September
all the
3rd.
excitement. I can see all the excitement on
I am-
Talora's face right there as soon as you said Shang-Chi coming out.
I'm so keen on Shang-Chi and Simon Liu, having watched him in Kim's Convenience as a car rental guy, and now with mystical
Listen.
ring powers and a dragon.
No,
I saw the trailer yesterday, and the moment I saw the dragon, I lost my crap. I was,
Yeah.
But it's not. What was the dragon's name? Was it Fu Manchu?
yeah, yeah.
well,
Fang-
this is a lot of spoilers for anyone who doesn't know
Um,
shit.
No, it's not. Um,
Well, for those who don't, again, like
Fing Fang
this.
Foom. In the comics, it was Fing Fang Foom.
Yes.
So again, this is all pretty much the explanation of how people who weren't ever really interested, as we see in comics and origins of Marvel and the creation, are the common people on the street who don't know this much about I mean, they probably don't know fuck all about Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings and the Mandarin specifically as an actual being and all of that type of stuff. So the excitement from a comic book fan knowing all of this, knowing about the dragon's name, it's now a name given to those people, and they're like, "What the fuck is this? I've now got to
But,
find out who this dragon is."
Exactly.
Not
Um,
Fing Fang Foom. It's the pop spoiled that. But the pops tend to spoil a lot. Like Funko Pops spoil a lot of stuff for movies. But that is now where the MCU sits.
To
you
be
know, at
honest,
its current
if you're like extremely enticed by Marvel, if you haven't gone to review someone says a name about a show coming out and you're like, what the fuck is that? And you don't go look at it and they give you a full explanation, you're kind of just a person who's like, oh, that's a movie on cinemas. I'm going to go watch it because it's action and it's loud.
But
That's the
the
same person that doesn't stay to watch the credits.
Exactly, the end credit scenes.
I mean, like now I watch movies until the end of the credits because I'm so scared I'm gonna miss an end credit scene.
You joke. I watched a movie today called Luca, and there
And
was
you
an end
you
credit
s-
scene.
and you watched. There wasn't. Yes, there was.
There was when he thought he was speaking to
Little-
his grandson, and it's
little
the
bit,
little fish, sheepfish.
little bit well that split into your mouth. Okay, Talora, thoughts on Iron Man?
You know, a 10 out of 10, always worth a watch. It's just, it's the best movie.
It's
Like,
the
you know what,
beginning.
we
That's what it
wouldn't have
is.
the MCU without it.
I mean, we had MCU releases before. We don't talk about them.
No.
No,
because
we
they
had, we had Marvel movies.
Sorry, we had
before.
Marvel, not MCU. Marvel
Yeah.
releases, but they're not as important as the beginning of the story.
And to think that they didn't want they were too scared
RDJ.
of Robert Downey Jr. because he you know
Because of
his
his
career
history.
was in shambles. He had a history of drug abuse and a whole bunch of legal stuff.
And this is where we agree that RDJ is Bay. The man turned his life around because of a movie.
Like because of the MCU, he is now one of the most respected actors.
Yeah, he
Like
went.
and maybe not from the high up film critic side,
No one cares
but
about that.
for most people, they know Robert Downey Jr. He is much like what happened with Wolverine. I'm not sure if you guys are aware. So what happened is Hugh Jackman became so synonymous with the character of Wolverine that the comic book artists started modeling Wolverine after him.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
same thing has
the later
happened
releases.
now.
Yeah, and
If you look at a comic book version of Tony Stark, he looks like Robert Downey Jr. because he is so synonymous with the
It's
character
because
of
the
Iron Man.
Even all the
Facts.
animated series.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I mean, I was watching the Avengers versus Thanos shortcuts of like just their major fights and all of that, and you see Tony Stark as RDJ.
Yes,
mean,
he
that is
also he
exactly it.
embodied. He managed to embody Tony Stark.
Yeah,
Because it wasn't just it's an actor who's playing this character really well. It was I'm watching Tony Stark on screen.
on TV.
now.
Yo, you're not watching RDJ. You're watching Tony Stark. Pretty much like a lot of
RDJ
actors.
is Tony Stark.
Yeah,
Exactly,
No,
the
Tony
same
Stark
way-
is RDJ.
the same way that that Hugh Jackman is Wolverine or Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
Deadpool.
and not any other
But
characters we talk about.
they've managed to do that with majority, like I'd say almost all of the MCU stars. They have embodied the character so well.
But I think it stems from a lot of passion from the a lot of passion from oh my god, bringing that up. Ooh, back to normal conversations. I think a lot of that stems from the character, the actors themselves, because actors and actresses. I mean, you look at Johnny Depp, you look at RDJ, you look at these people who, whether they had a shit like past or whatever, they don't let that determine how they act, and they push towards providing what they need to the point that I mean, fucking Johnny Depp. Every single face that exists is Johnny Depp's. I mean, he could be anyone, and you wouldn't fucking know. I mean, RDJ being Tony Stark, you're talking about Wolverine being Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. These people put time and effort to the point of where everyone else needs to refer to them as their characters because that is who their characters are.
Yeah, and just to go back to Talora's point about them backing away from the Mandarin as the main villain, I think that for them it was too much of a deep cut. They needed
was.
something that would be an easily consumable Hollywood blockbuster. It was big, it was flashy, it had lasers and rockets, and it was
And it was rock and roll.
exactly. It was, and when you sit and you watch majority of the first Iron Man, it's a popcorn movie where you're just sitting and you're going.
And then
Just-
out of nowhere,
just
there's an empty
chugging.
the bucket, and you're like, oh fuck! But I can't
Exactly,
stop watching.
and Marvel has managed to take that and move away from it and really get people thinking, or those who are deep in enough to think as their movies are playing. But this initial one, and I think a lot of the very early Marvel movies are like that. They don't. It doesn't take a lot of thought to follow the story and to follow who the bad guys and the good guys are. It's just popcorn.
Yeah,
It's you just
and
it's
to add
easily
on that,
consumable.
I mean, as a heavy comic fan, you would notice the Mandalorian, more the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. Yes, if the Mandalorian showed up in
Yes,
a
the
Marvel
Mandalorian
movie.
and the child come out of fucking nowhere. The Mandarin, sorry, where God, that one hit me. Um, no, but you would notice the Mandarin, whereas other people are like, okay, they've just shown a character which doesn't seem to make a lot of impact.
Mm.
Then later on, they bring the Mandarin, this character, and actually give him a name. It then makes a bigger impact, and you're like, wait, but there was something
Yeah,
around that same
because
situation in a previous movie, but it slowly brought in the Mandarin to the point of where Shang-Chi is now going to be focused on the Ten Rings. It's now going
yeah,
to be focused
and
on
There
the
you go.
Mandarin. But the
yeah,
points that I want to see in Shang-Chi is that connection between the person who is acting as the Mandarin and the actual
yeah.
Mandarin.
I don't think they're gonna touch on that because the Mandarin is so powerful
Not
that
not not him
he.
specific, but as the explanation you were giving earlier, where someone went up to him and be like, "Oh, so you've
Yeah.
been using the Mandarin's name?
Yeah, but
Explain
I
yourself."
don't. I think it's because they've already dealt
They've
with
already
that
addressed
in.
it.
They've already done it in the Marvel shorts, even though those Marvel shorts are incredibly difficult to get a hold of. Outside of having something like Disney Plus, it's near impossible to find them on the internet.
Well, that's
Um,
if it's something. I mean, we would look for it, we would find it. But for those who don't, throwing that kind of tidbit into the show would
or
be a
into the
nice
movie,
link.
I dig to see it, but I don't think that they're going to because they've already done it. And Disney has proven with a lot of their Marvel stuff, they don't care if you've
If
seen
you
it.
missed it or not.
If you could get hold of it, if you had access to it, they don't care as long
They
as you're
really don't.
as
Well,
long as you are spending your money on them.
for any of you that are in the chat and currently watching us and didn't know this, by the way, spoilers. We have now given you something you might never see.
Yes, I got to see All Hail the King. It is the only Marvel short that I've been able to find and see. And it was excellent. It was great. It was difficult to find, and then I found it and I watched it, and
Sorry,
that was
I'm just
sort of
gonna go to Con's cam for a second. Talora, was that not scary as fuck? Watching Steph
It
walk
was.
through the door, and just the two ears were lit up, and there was complete darkness behind because she was wearing the
when you
black hoodie and
came
everything.
in,
It
you
was
couldn't see
fucking
the rest of
scary.
you. You could just see your two ears, and they look like eyes.
They were fucking scary, dude. I'm just like, is this one of those things we should record and send to like Ghostbusters or some shit, bro?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, Connor's dead. He's
Yeah,
gonna die now. Steph
I'm
walked
just
out the
gonna.
room. She got murdered. Connor's about to get eaten on
No,
camera.
I'm just gonna
This is
remove
how we get
Connor's cam and
famous.
then move to Laura over, and now it's mine and Talora's show. No,
Um,
I think for those who didn't know, that kind of information is very important to know.
but
Um,
it's not going to be known by people who are not willing to
invested.
go out of, or invested enough to go out of their way
Yeah.
to
I mean,
do this
at this
or
point,
to
the
find
fact that
it.
they've touched on the I almost said Mandalorian, the Mandarin again, that they've touched on him now twice within the MCU, and now actually fully bringing him in 3 times. Apologies, that is correct. Now that they've touched on him enough, and now officially bringing him in as a character, they're gonna go, okay, wait, but that's not what we saw or know of the Mandalorian. Fuck me. Can people come up with unique names for shit? Please.
Mandalorians have been around since the 70s.
Yeah, this is fucking problematic for my brain, dude. My brain's gonna turn off and forget to restart. But apologies. We'll continue with Talora. The fucking hell.
No, you know what? If if you talk about the one shots, like there's so many. There's the Peggy Carter ones, and Phase 1 is really the only phase that I've ever seen any shorts. I don't think I've seen for Phase 2 or 3.
As no, the shorts, the All Hail the King was a post Iron Man 3, so
So it would have been a
Okay.
phase 3 short.
it would have been no, it would have been phase 2 short.
Oh yeah,
The
shit.
okay, so the consultant came out after Iron Man 2. The funny thing that happened on the way to Thor's hammer was in 2011. So that's
Phase
it
one.
just before, so that is phase 1. Item 47 uh is about a Chitauri gun, so that's
Yes.
after
That would be the
the
beginning of
battle
phase
for New
2.
So
York.
phase two.
Agent Carter, uh
That would be continuing after
that would
Captain America.
that's Captain. All Hail the King is then in 2014, after Iron Man 3. So yeah, I think
Okay,
they've
that makes
probably
sense.
stopped because maybe it's because they were too hard to um get out to people.
But I think a
Oh,
lot, like, I mean, at one point, if I'm not mistaken, there was only one end credit scene that gave any explanation as to what's to come. And now I think at one point they started doing two, maybe three, on different topics, like showing an advance of a different character that was been presented in this film, what might happen
Yeah.
with that character, and so forth. So, I mean, I think they've started getting rid of the shorts and just started including small tidbits of knowledge
But
in the end credit scenes.
the post
but
credit.
they have
Yeah.
gotten braver with their end credit scenes as well, because
They have.
before it was very focused on what happened in the movie. Now, I mean, they could do an end credit scene for Shang-Chi showing, I don't know.
Apparently, the Shang-Chi end credit scene got like the kind of applause that Caplifting Mjolnir got in theater. So
So a little just side thing, and we'll touch on Age of Ultron. But I read that, and this was I only mentioned this because it was apparently confirmed that Cap could lift the hammer at that
of
point,
course,
but he didn't because he wanted to save Thor's ego.
I'll tell you something about that. Like in my head, I just believe that he would constantly move the hammer around just to mess with Thor.
uh,
I'd be that guy if I was Cap, just putting it on the toilet seat or putting it on someone's car
Yes.
or something like that, just to fuck with them. Be like, oh, now there's gonna be a fight between this person and Thor because Thor's the only one that can pick it up. Don't you remember everyone trying? And then fucking Vision out of nowhere, it's just like, oh yeah, let's go. Now you can blame two people.
but let's save that for when we do get to
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron. Shall we move on to
Oh,
Incredible Hulk?
you have missed me, motherfucker.
Oh, have we? Oh, yes. Okay, Dylan.
So
Thoughts on Iron Man?
definitely, yeah, definitely agreeing with Talora. RDJ is Bear. He is capital BAE. He, for a person, besides understanding his history with drug abuse and so forth, the actor as himself gave everything to this sort of role and brought a comic character to life.
Yes, he
Gave
was
gave
this
a life to.
overconfident, cocky,
Yeah, he was a playboy billionaire philanthropist,
and
which made the
Genius.
he
lines
knew
genius. Yeah,
he knew what he was talking about, no matter what the subject was. There's a comment later on where he goes, "Oh, when did you learn, thermonuclear physics?" He was like, "I stayed up late last night."
yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, the fact that he's able to bring this persona to life and actually make you go, if I didn't understand the words, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist,
Anyway.
I'd be like, huh? But then you see the cockiness of RDJ being as Tony Stark, and you're like, well, fuck, if anyone ever requests or what the fuck that means, I'm going to just show them Tony Stark. And it would be all explained in like one simple file swoop.
Yeah, but they do a lot of setup of these characters in their initial offerings.
Yeah,
They
and one thing I heavily wanted to touch on was the introduction to the Avengers. The end
with
credit
Sam
scene,
Jackson,
yeah,
yeah.
the end credit scene with him walking up to the general, talking to him, saying, "I've got an initiative that needs to be, sorted out."
But weren't there two?
That's
There wasn't there a
that.
mid and an end?
Yes. So there
Yes.
was one with I think
Nick Fury.
Nick
Nick
Fury
Fury, where Nick
with
Fury's
him.
in his house.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nick Fury with him talking about it, and then him going to the general as well. and doing the
But
same thing. But I think that was in Incredible
the
Hulk.
Incredible Hulk.
Yes,
No, no, Incredible Hulk was the one in the
in the
bar.
bar. Yeah, that's when he goes to the
Okay,
general.
yes, yes.
That's when he goes to the general in the
That's what we're
bar
talking about.
with the file showing, like, stating the Avengers. He obviously
Mm.
wants to speak to him because he needs to get a hold of Bruce Banner for that exact
Mm.
reason, and obviously he needs to find his connections to do so. But that is the start of the Avengers Initiative. I mean, you see it from Captain Marvel's perspective when they show Nick Fury typing out Avenger
Yeah.
Initiative. But it doesn't. This is the first time you ever see anything that involves the Avengers whatsoever, and I think that also pushes the cockiness of Disney and all of them to go, listen, this might not make a lot of money, but we're not stopping here.
Yeah.
That we don't
And
have a
but-
massive production to give them to do all of this amazing shit. Technology hasn't advanced that far as yet in terms of the extreme high, CGI aspect. But here we are. We're forcing you to tell you we're going to continue. So if you enjoyed this, we're definitely creating this wider fan base.
And I wonder if the end credit scene has anything to do with its success,
I
because
think,
it let people know that there was more.
but
That this wasn't
problem
the
is-
the end of the road. It wasn't just this one movie.
but the
But
problem
in all
is,
fairness, I don't think people stayed for at that point.
that is my point.
Ah.
People who went afterwards and said, "Did you see that end credit scene where there was actually
No.
something being?" And they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What's an end credits? What?" And then they go
Why
watch the
would I
movie and
wanna
it's like,
stay to the
"I
end?"
didn't stay for this. Oh my god, there is so much more coming," and that just increases the excitement. It starts with
Yeah.
a small crowd spreading a word of something that no one's ever really focused on,
And
and
then-
then
but
it turns
that-
into this
back
thing where
then-
you will stay for a 4 hour and a half long movie to watch that last bit of, like, 5 minutes or
and
1 minute.
I'm sure that that word of mouth got people to go back to the cinema so that they could
Make
see
more
the
money.
see that end credit scene.
Exactly, and I mean, if you're not going to watch it at cinemas, you better have a fucking good system at home to be able to give you that same feeling of the surround sound, the environments of a movie.
Or you would have been like me and you would have gone to Panorama Flea Market and bought a pirated copy. But that's just me.
I think we all did that.
Uh,
But yeah, I just love the fact that the production companies were cocky, the producers were cocky, and they were like, "We're gonna throw shit in, whether you see it or not. You will find out eventually, but let you know we're gonna continue with this shit. Buckle your seats, and I hope you're fucking ready. You might piss your pants." And that's what it turned into. It turned into a shit show of excitement, heartbreak, people crying over a character who
Well, I mean,
dies.
that was one of the greatest like movie going experiences that I've ever seen, was going to watch Endgame in cinemas,
Yeah.
because of the grandeur, and we've had, I think at that point it was over 10 years of lead up to this moment,
Yeah.
that now the Avengers were going head to head with Thanos and they could win.
And the first time it is ever said, Avengers Assemble. Do you know how? No, that was in Endgame. But the amount, if you, I went to watch Black Panther in cinemas, and the uproar that came from a crowd, I could barely watch more than
Yeah.
half the movie because of the uproar and the excitement and these people that are like so excited. I mean, you get the people who
I
read
tweeted
comic
about
books
this
like,
today.
it's fucking, this is exactly the point. We talk, you're reading the comic, you're like, oh, that's cool, and you carry on reading. You don't have this atmosphere of 50, 60, 100 people around you, like, screaming what you're thinking in your head, because you're like, fuck yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
And everyone just says it, and you're like, oh my God.
And for somebody like my wife, who's not a comic fan at all, to get like always tells me about the goosebumps that she got during the Avengers Assemble scene, where Doctor Strange opens all those
Yeah,
portals and
it's
all the
just
people
fucking
start coming in.
hundreds of people flying through, and
Yeah, and then you get like
I'm getting
Wong
goosebumps
who-
now thinking about it.
Dude, when I was doing my rewatch, she actually stopped me and like asked me to put out like go speakers and everything so she could watch that scene with me, because it is so iconic.
Goosebumps.
You're going from a man who's cocky as shit, selling weapons, standing there while dust blows on his back from a fucking rocket that he set off, to hundreds of thousands, millions of people at cinemas all cheering in excitement of fucking Cap picking up the hammer, and, like
and
throwing
doing
it
the,
and pulling it back.
That moment.
The change from that was like a pure change from an idea of this is comic information, this is comic book, this is nerd shit, to this is lifestyle. Funny enough, this is pop culture.
that's what I was saying about Iron Man specifically being the catalyst for bringing pop culture or nerd culture more specifically into the public zeitgeist and
Yeah,
getting it into people's heads that this stuff it exists and it can be enjoyed by anyone, not necessarily just just the nerds.
yeah, and the fact that you can go anywhere and just bring up one of the characters, and people will start having conversations. People that would never connect ever in their lives before have a full proper connection now,
Yeah.
and it's over something that nerds have been connecting over for years before, decades before. So, rest of the world, you are welcome.
Shall we move on to
Yes.
one movie that I'm not going to be able to say much about?
Because you are wrong, and everything you think about this movie is wrong.
I just didn't like it. No, I think you've got the wrong banner there, my dude.
The Incredible Hulk.
That does not look. Maybe I'm wrong because I didn't watch it.
That is
But
the Incredible Hulk.
let your
It's
thoughts
that
be
one.
heard. I didn't watch it. We've been
No,
going
no,
on about this since we started.
100%. This is the Incredible Hulk. The now I almost said RDJ. Mark Ruffalo's Incredible Hulk is a lot darker.
No, it is, but
It's
that
a lot
Yeah, he's a
that
lot
looks like the
faded.
original Hulk. That
Oh
from
no,
that
no,
first
he's
Hulk
pale.
movie.
He's pale as fuck.
Okay,
In
so
comparison.
you guys go ahead and speak about this movie. I haven't watched it in years. I skipped over it completely in my MCU watch through because
So one thing that I know about this movie that everyone forgets is the iconic look of the Hulk came from this movie. It was represented properly in this movie with Hulk in the torn purple shorts.
Yes.
He picks up an overly large like pair of long purple pants in this movie when he hulks out, and then they're just tears, but the pants stay on and they're purple. This is where that iconic look is represented. It is not represented in any other Hulk in existence. So if you want to know that, this is something to watch. But then I'll throw it to Talora because Connor's comments that we have so far is did not watch.
did not watch.
So we'll throw it to Talora.
But now I have to go and watch it.
You
Look,
will ignore the fact that it's not Mark Ruffalo. Enjoy it
It's
for
the-
the cinematic
not-
aspect of it.
It's not the fact that it's not Mark Ruffalo. I didn't enjoy it the first time I watched it, so I'm worried I'm not going to enjoy it again, and it's going to be a waste of 2 hours.
I really enjoyed it, and also to watch Stan Lee die was a different thing.
Yes. No, look, that movie, it wasn't the best MCU film we've ever seen. It might be like, how many films are we in now? 24? It's like
We're in the fuck load.
23. It's at like number 23. on
Okay,
my
what's
list.
24 then?
That would be Thor the Dark.
Okay, agreed.
Okay, I'm not the
agreed.
only one thinking this.
But,
Everybody's thinking
This
that.
is the DC version of Marvel at that point.
but this film, like, I was reading that Edward Norton, he tried to have a lot more creative control over Bruce Banner and his character development and things like that. But Marvel didn't let him get that any of that. And apparently the film was better when it was edited the way Edward Norton wanted it to be edited. So you would have gotten a lot more character development. It would have focused more on things that it would have just helped tell the story a bit better. I mean,
I feel like the connection between Bruce Banner and who Bruce Banner is in terms of his intelligence and stuff like that was kind of dimmed down by his
Yes.
need for a lot of assistance from other things, from everything else, like from other people and stuff like that. But again, Bruce Banner is a highly intellectual being. He's not this common run-of-the-mill person. So being him, he should be able to do a lot more than what this movie granted him to do.
Okay,
which I
so
think was part
an
of editing.
interesting tidbit, guys. The original, so Paramount Pictures distributed the Marvel movies. So this is speaking specifically the MCU. Paramount was from 2008 to 2011, with a difference of one film in 2008, which was Universal,
Yes.
and then Walt Disney took
And which
over
one did
when
Universal do?
the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and Walt Disney then consumed Marvel in 2012.
Yes.
Yeah, so I agree with Talora in that this movie isn't really given justice to a story of Bruce Banner, because in the MCU universe, this is the explanation. If you ignore all of the other Marvel releases of the Hulk, this is the first explanation or continuation of
It's
what
the
the Hulk
origin
is.
of the Hulk in the
Yeah,
MCU.
not necessarily the infection of it, of the character himself, but his life from dealing with the situation. I mean, going to, I think it's Rio de Janeiro in the slums, to live there, to be able to try and maintain his anger, get by, yeah,
I mean, there
Husa
is
himself.
that whole comment about him about Bruce trying to kill himself, and the
Um,
Hulk
Yes,
stopping it.
that
yeah,
that was a different cut of the film. They removed that from the main cut of.
Oh,
Like,
but that's where you see it from his point of view, and he looks down at the gun, and then his hand starts turning green and crushes the gun.
yeah,
I
because that
remember
is
seeing
exactly
that
when he
scene.
talks about biting the bullet
Mm.
and the Hulk saying, nah, fam, not
Yeah.
happening. I mean, at one point he throws himself out of a helicopter, plummets to the ground after thinking he's fixed himself, hits the ground. You're
then
like, oh fuck,
Out
Bruce
of the
Banner's officially
spaceship
dead.
in
Ragnarok.
In
in
Ragnarok.
when he like bounces off of the bounces on the bridge
And he's like,
and
ah, boing, boing,
the
boing, boing.
wolf still like stops
Yeah,
because
it's
he
just
like
the fuck? And it just like flops down like a rag doll sort of thing. But this sort of thing, he smashes into the ground because, I mean, from that height, there's a lot more impact, and the road was destroyed. But that's some, technicalities. But he vanishes, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, the Hulk is dead. They've officially healed him. He's no longer can turn into the Hulk. He's dead. And a few minutes later, he's not so dead. The
It's
Hulk
like
won't
the
give up.
best and the worst thing about that film is the abomination.
Okay,
I don't know.
now we have problems here. Okay, that is one of my top actors, Tim Roth. I've watched a lot of series about him, movies that includes him. I mean, I watched The Misfits recently. It includes him as
He
well,
did a good job
and
though.
he's a
He did a good job.
fantastic actor. He portrayed this cocky person, because he was a leader of some secret, or not secret, but some army crew military crew that was, like the SEALs or some underground unit that gets sent to do the difficult shit. Now he's this cocky asshole being like, you know what? Give me what he has. I can take
But
it.
he did a good job. It's
And it was
just
fantastic.
everything was good until he became the abomination, and then it was just like, wow, that is an abomination.
Yeah, we don't talk
Well-
about the spikes growing out. But if you want to see what a true Sparta kick looks like, watch this.
but
He
I
Sparta
think
kicks the
that
shit out of Tim Roth, and he goes fucking ragdolling and then smashes into the fucking
A tree or something.
Yeah, it was a tree. Like he sideways like fucking hits a tree, breaks nearly every bone in his body, and then
And you think he's dead, and
Yeah.
then
they
But
start injecting the shit out of him.
I think that we're gonna get a better idea or better view of Abomination in
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi because he is shown in the trailer as one of the contestants in Madripoor. So I think they're going to have some redemption for his character in that.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on what they portray. If they're gonna, if I'm not mistaken, they're keeping Tim Roth
Yeah, they are.
as
They have to.
Abomination, which I'm all for. I'm excited for. I want to see the adjustments that they might make to the character. But
skip the spikes.
I skipped the spikes that were sort of. I think they were introduced for the point of Hulk using them, but they mean nothing else to what Abomination is, besides the fact
But
that he's an abomination.
But I think it's very difficult to watch that movie back now because the Hulk now is Mark Ruffalo, and watching it and seeing Edward Norton, it doesn't gel in your mind. So I can't I can't think of that film as part of the MCU.
Yeah,
So Wallow in the chat is that kick was so satisfying.
definitely. I mean, it's that feeling that you get from when the bully finally gets, the shit kicked out of him, literally, to you feel like, yeah, the nerd, the one in the bag for the nerds type of thing. I mean, I think that was fucking amazing, and especially how they continued of the creation of Abomination from that was awesome, because they gave him some form of rejection that sort of made him a super soldier. That's how he could survive that kick. But then they had to pump the actual Abomination into him in order to keep him alive, which I think that's pretty. It was still very well done. So no, that was
Like it's okay.
yeah. So no, I definitely agree. If those Mark Ruffalo fans out there, this is not one for you to watch if you're focusing on Mark Ruffalo being the Hulk, but watch it for Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Don't watch it for the actor playing the character. I mean, we've just spoke about
And
how
whatever
difficult
happened to
it is.
Betty Ross?
She just fucking vanished.
But so again, going further than phase 1, but the Hulkbuster is nicknamed Veronica, and that is a reference to Archie because of Bruce's girlfriend being Betty, and then the thing that's gonna stop him being Veronica.
Yeah, I thought that was also quite a neat tidbit, which again a lot of people might have skipped over. But no, I definitely agree. If this is still a very good movie, it could have been a lot better. Definitely, if they'd either started with Mark Ruffalo or continued with Edward Norton continuing through the Hulk, people would have a different perspective. But ignoring that aside, this is a very good retrospective of a continuation of the creation of the MCU.
Exactly.
And
It's the very start of Nick Fury's big week, you know?
Yeah, and also
And
the creation of a very one. It's not the toughest villain, but it is one of the Hulk's villains. It is one of his main villains, and the creation of that is very important for those who are interested in to know which characters does he usually fight on his own? Can he handle on his own? Who does he need the entire team for? Type of thing.
Yeah.
So no, that's, I would say watch it.
And I mean, if you take it, the Incredible Hulk happens like the same week that Iron Man 2 is happening, and it's the same week that Thor is happening, and it's also the same week that Cap is defrosting. So that's a very close period
Yeah,
of
because
time.
what you're saying it's part of Fury's big week, where he's now having to split Shield across 4 different major things happening. I mean,
four
Hulk
major
rampaging,
events. Yeah,
and you
the
can
Hulk
see how he split
rampaging.
all of these people.
yeah.
Because the Hulk rampaging, Tony going on a bender,
The Destroyer in where was it? New Mexico.
Yes, where he sends poor
Coulson and
Coulson.
Hawkeye, I believe.
Yeah. Funny enough, not a lot of people know Hawkeye. Well, they did know Hawkeye was there, but they didn't know Hawkeye was Hawkeye.
Yeah.
When he was up in the crane. But, yeah.
I mean, in his nest, I mean.
Yeah, in his nest. A lot of people don't usually catch on certain things. Or was it just me that might have missed it initially?
I don't think they mentioned that he is Clint Barton at that point.
No,
so.
they don't mention his name at all.
they just.
I think they actually do say Hawkeye when they're speaking over the comms.
But I think Hawkeye is just his call name.
Yeah.
Less than it's the same as
character.
The same as Nat's was Black Widow.
Yeah.
It's her call name. It's not her superhero name. The same way that Tony is Iron Man or Peter is Spider-Man.
Yeah, but they then later use that as their superhero names. Yeah.
Yeah, when they get, during like the Civil War and stuff gets bigger, they use that becomes their superhero names.
The iconic, we're using superhero names. Oh, I'm Spider-Man.
But the funniest thing is that Stephen Strange, when he said Doctor Strange, he wasn't using a superhero.
No, but
he was
shows
telling him his name.
That shows what Peter Parker was thinking at the time. Like,
yeah.
Oh wait, but that's such a weird name. That can't be his normal name. Oh, it must be his superhero name. Oh shit, that's what we're doing. And he's like,
I'm Spider-Man.
No, my name is actually Doctor Strange. Dr. Stephen Strange. But no, I think there was a brief touch on this, but I would suggest watching it for those who just want to know certain information, but not terribly important. But I think it then moves on to our next one. If
Iron Man
there's any
2.
other, yeah, if there's any other comments for this though, I think
No, there's not much to talk about in terms of.
yeah, I think there's a lot of openness about this. Chat, if you have anything, please by all means, because this was still a good movie in my opinion. Please help. Me.
Okay, can I get in super early on the next one?
Yes, let me throw the screen and you may play your thing.
Least interesting of the Iron Man movies. Shitty villains. Oh, okay, no. Shitty villain. So, because there were two villains. There was Justin Hammer and Hammer Industries, and then Ivan Vanko.
Yeah.
Whiplash, Ivan Vanko. Or is that his name?
Ivan Vanko, yes.
Ivan Vanko. Was so cool to watch with his two
Whoops.
like arc reactor powered whips and fucking whipping a
Fucking race Formula 1 car in
Formula
half.
1 car
In
in
half.
half while it's moving. So he, the Whiplash was the cool villain, but I felt like there wasn't enough superheroing in the superhero movie. This is another test for Marvel where they were trying to see how much of the people can they have aside from Tony being in a suit all the time, where they do really find their groove in Iron Man 3, but in this I still felt like they were stumbling and they're trying to find their feet.
Yeah, so continuing on that, I know. So for me, this was very confusing on trying to identify what is the main aspect that you're looking on here. Are we looking on Ivan's family history not being recognized as from the Stark family, which is his reason after his father passes away, his reason for attacking Tony Stark, and then
But
Hammer wanting Stark tech because
Yeah.
he's failed miserably in making his own and snapping in the spine of one of which does get mentioned quite a bit later on down the line in the movie that obviously happened or occurred during the same time. So
Wait,
there's
which?
the snapping of the spine of one of the guy that gets in the hammer suit. They actually talk about
No. Rhodey doesn't lose his
no in
the
the
guy that-
hammer
with
suit.
where the
Yeah,
suit
where
just
the
turns.
leg stays still and the whole body turns. It
Oh,
breaks
right.
See
the
it
spine.
on the at the Senate where
Yeah,
they
where they're talking
Tony
about
hacks
handing
the-
over. Yeah, he's like, oh, so
Yeah,
other
and
people are trying to
Tony
attempt to
hacks
recreate.
the hammer repository and just
Yeah.
shows the failures.
And so that actual instance where the person's spine breaks from that occurrence gets mentioned in another movie that occurs at the same time. I'll
What?
need to try and find it where they actually talk about one of Hammer Industries employees having their spine broken during a test failure. I'll need to find that.
But the whole messiness of what the focus of this movie was
Yeah,
was it Tony being an ill fit to be a hero? Was it Hammer trying to take down Stark? Was it Whiplash trying to kill Tony? It did feel very muddy, and there wasn't a clear direction that it was going for. It tended to like skip between the different things and try and
It kind of mishmashed all three together because I mean it's Tony busy dealing with the infection from the arc reactor in his chest.
yeah.
To even Ivan trying to get revenge for his father, and then Hammer trying to become best biggest thing above Stark
Yeah,
Industries.
the next
There was a lot
big
going on.
military
Yeah,
contractor, and there was too much
there was
going
so
on.
much shit going on. It kind of just ragdolled everything together.
That's why Spider-Man 3. That's one of the reasons why Spider-Man 3 failed, because it was muddy. It didn't have a clear
Yeah,
direction. You
with
don't
all of the
'cause-
cast that they had to introduce.
because
yes, and that's what they were using this film as. They were using it to introduce Black Widow.
Which you
Which
barely
is
get much
fair.
interaction from.
but she's but also Natalie in this film is eye candy more than anything else.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, it's meant to show the undercover ability of, you
Yeah, of
know,
the
the
Shield
Black Widow,
agents.
of the Shield agents. So that was fantastic from that perspective. But also, it's again, you're introducing more than what is really necessary at that moment. Being able to do with the connection between Ivan and um, Hammer Industries, dealing with that as a soul would have been a lot easier than trying to include three, four, five different other things into this very same
Yeah.
movie.
And if they had been like, Ivan wants to get back at Tony because of Howard Stark's, shunning of his father, and now Hammer's going after Tony, and Tony is dealing with something on the side.
Yeah, but
He's not in
it's
a great place.
yeah,
That would have been fine, but because they're like, only Tony's becoming an alcoholic, this guy wants to kill Tony because of his father. Hammer wants to take over Stark Tech and subsequently kill him as well.
and let's all just watch Happy get
And
beaten up by a girl.
and 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 Pepper's now leaving Tony. And then we've also got Black Widow doing a thing.
Yeah,
It was just too many elements trying to be mishmashed without a flow. And if you're not keeping your head on straight and focusing on every single thing that's being said, you will lose track.
and
So
up next,
easily.
ladies and gentlemen, Iron Man eating a donut in a donut. That whole scene of him,
Iconic.
yeah, him
That
being,
shot is iconic. I mean, it made its way into the What If trailer.
yeah,
Yes.
but it's again these small things. Like where exactly did Shield get some, not necessarily a cure, but a to help fight this infection he's getting over and above
It's
what this
the,
guy's
the
money is
explanation
able to
is
get.
it's Shield.
Yeah, again, it's a whole bunch is thrown at
Lazy
you.
storytelling.
Yeah, lazy storytelling. A whole bunch of information thrown at you with no common aspect or understanding or reasoning, and expectation of you just saying, "Cool, yeah, I understand. This is fun." You know, I think a lot more
Uh,
could have been put into this, but it was still enjoyable.
it was still enjoyable, yeah. And
Again,
that end scene does save it, with War Machine and Iron Man going up
toe to
against
toe
all
with
of
all of
the
them.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
the,
hammer
the
bots.
hammer bots.
and him finally saying "get down," uses that 360 spin of his lasers, cutting all of them in half. Is like, why didn't you do that from the beginning? Fucking fantastic timing of like comic reaction, breaking away from seriousness, and
Yeah.
again inclusion of
And
fucking
and
rock
that
and
is
roll.
that is where Marvel succeeds.
Yeah,
Talora, thoughts about Iron Man 2?
Okay. Like everything you said, exactly true. It was lazy storytelling, but the introduction of Black Widow, it was a plot device, but she was probably the best thing in the movie for me. Um, and there's a scene in the film where she's busy hacking Ivan's tech, and she's the only one that can do it because she's the only other person that speaks Russian. And I think
yes.
that's such a cool little detail that
Then no one, if you don't know who Natasha Romanoff is or the Black Widow is, you wouldn't understand like who's this random woman being introduced. She can kick Happy's ass, who by the way was a very good boxer,
yes.
who's very tough and can throw a mean
Uh,
right
uh,
hook. And
But
she
also
can,
that scene where Happy's going up against the one guy and he knocks him out and he's like, I did it!
Did it,
And he
and she's
turns
saying that like
around and
10
that's
people.
and yeah, there's like
but
a
it's just
whole
like
yeah. She runs in like he's sticking on the first guy. She clears out everyone else, and he's like, "I did it." And turns around, it's like, oh. And then it's just like again, it's showing that the Black Widow character, Natasha Romanoff, has a lot to offer outside of fights. I mean, being undercover, being able to access even just general hacking, the abilities that's like I don't know how complex it was. I'm not a hacker myself, but more than understanding Russian, there was hacking involved.
it's not simple. It's very complicated.
Exactly, but I'm saying that's a lot of knowledge for one person to hold, and also being able to hold your own against tens, 20s
Many
of
guys.
these people
many
who
men.
are hired to protect shit. Clearly, either they horribly bad at their jobs and need to be
She's
fired
just really
anyway,
good.
or she's really good, and which she was. I mean, she
And
fucked up a lot of people.
Laura, you did make a comment here which I'd like you to state
on.
for me.
Okay. Don Cheadle's War Machine is a lot better than Terrence Howard could have offered us.
Don Cheadle is War Machine.
Thank you.
Terrence, so I watched this whole thing about why Terrence Howard wasn't in Iron Man 2, and I mean, wanting
Right.
more money than the star of the film was earning, to then have Don Cheadle come in, who is a significantly better actor, and he was able to have. Oh, let me rather put it this way: the chemistry between him and Tony
It's
was
so much
there.
better.
The connection between the actors showed on scene.
Yes,
The
they
way
were
they
able
could
to
bounce
joke
off
like
of each other
yeah,
as if
they
it was
joked
just
like they
normal
were old
conversation.
friends.
And
That's
I
the
just
thing.
like to
And
point out that Don Cheadle's currently received, I think it's an Academy nomination for his role in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
yes,
He
no, it
better
wasn't.
fucking.
What was it?
It was. He did get
Some kind of nomination, right?
Either way, the fact that again,
it
these
was an Emmy
are
nomination
yeah,
for
but
best actor.
these are side characters from the perspective of the main.
Yeah,
The main character being Iron Man, the side character being War Machine. Him being noticed to the point of
yeah.
best actor for something like that shows the quality of the work that they put into it. And I mean,
And
you
and
could
I
just
think
see it from the
Exactly.
interaction.
I think
They
it
had
was the
such
right
chemistry.
choice
Yeah.
to it's with Terrence Howard and as what's his name,
Rhodey.
Right.
Rhodey. It wasn't believable, but Don
It fell
Cheadle,
flat.
It felt
yes,
forced.
but Don Cheadle as like boom, you're looking for this. He's just he is so charismatic, and it's believable that him and Tony are old friends.
Yeah, that's the key that everyone misses is that Brody and Tony Stark are actually very old friends. The one went into the Navy and the other one went into,
Yeah, but that's
weapon
because
making.
Howard was a military contractor.
So
So Rhodey knows him because of his father's work and because he sold weapons.
yeah,
And Don Cheadle was and still is, and going into Iron Wars, I'm very very excited. Armor Wars, sorry, I'm very excited to see what he does and how he comes off, because he's an excellent character through and through. Every scene with him just works because of the charisma that Don Cheadle exudes.
and also remember being the longest standing character to have known Tony Stark,
Yes.
which
Yeah,
has a
and
massive impact in terms of an emotional aspect from a
yeah,
character.
he was,
to
and
what to
and
do
I guess
next.
it's arguable that he was Tony's best friend.
He was.
He was.
Outside of Jarvis and, Pepper Potts,
Yeah,
that
and he
was
was
his best friend.
he was also the only non-superhuman who was brave enough to stand up to Tony and say,
Yes.
And
"Stop,
fought like
stop
a
your
champ.
shit."
Yeah,
Yeah,
stop being a little bitch. You've had your
and,
party
and
moment. Let's move on. We've got shit to do.
yeah,
And he full on just like got into a suit and stole it, took it to the military and said, "Do what you want with it.
Mm.
And
I'm gonna
beat
be
the
the war
shit out of
machine."
Tony Stark.
I
He
mean,
didn't
come on.
win, but
But
he
that-
could hold his ground in something he's never
And
touched
then
in
he's
his life.
badass gun and
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
into a suit, never knowing how to use it properly, could still
just-
fight Iron Man toe to toe,
Mm.
and still
he-
took it
the
away from
only
him.
reason Tony could hold up in that fight, because I don't think Tony is a particularly good fighter, because
no.
Rhodey's a soldier. He knows
Yeah.
how to fight. I think the only reason Tony could hold his ground there is because he knew how to use the suit better.
Exactly, but Rhodey had an up on the fighting platform, and
Yeah.
he just now had the strength behind it in terms of the suit, whereas Tony Stark had the suit longer, and he knows a lot more about the details.
Tony Stark cannot do anything hand to hand. He always had. If you look at, I'm moving on to Civil War. Okay, there's a moment where Friday analyzes Steve's fighting pattern, and he's got all of that behind him.
And he
Yeah.
lets the suit pretty much take control of the fighting itself, while he's
Yeah.
still throwing the punch, but the suit directs him in how the
The,
punch
the,
is
the
thrown.
suit is telling him where to punch,
Yeah.
when to block. So he
Where the
does it. He's
weaknesses
got.
are,
Um,
and where the weaknesses are.
yeah, it's the same as Taskmaster.
Yeah,
Is that he's got somebody, in this instance being Friday, telling him what to do, where Rhodey was watching, like fighting him, and could see, okay, he's throwing a left, I need to bring up, and then his
Yeah,
chest is going
follow
to be
through,
exposed, so
yeah.
I can hit there. And it was them on an equal playing field.
Pretty
Yes.
much, and I think that kind of aspect also, people skim over a lot of things when it comes to movies, especially that are, yeah, I mean, there's explosions, there's cool shit happening, but they skip over the small things that no one really thinks of.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the fact that a random guy gets into a suit. Why the fuck did that just happen?
Yeah, and I
But then
think Rhodey was another, or Don Cheadle as Rhodey was big, a big plus in this movie's favor, because there's a lot of bad in this movie, but having Don Cheadle there again, very charismatic, he's he's another reason to watch the movie, because it's the starting of his arc, and he is throughout the MCU, even now into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he's such a major character.
yeah, and
Because I think he's still War Machine.
yeah, he is,
Yes.
and I think he also becomes
Oh,
sort
War
of
Machine,
a
Armor Wars. Yeah.
he sort of becomes a mental aspect for anyone who tries to don the suit, because Tony Stark no longer being there, he's the only one that operates it functionally well enough.
If in Armor Wars they do bring Ironheart into the story, I
They are.
think, hey, I
Yeah.
don't. So then Rhodey is going to be a mentor to Ironheart,
Yeah, so
because a young person now taking the mantle of the next Iron person.
yeah,
Which she
Is
built herself.
yeah,
Spoilers.
because the person who's now got Stark Tech behind them is another kid from nowhere, but though Peter is a
Mhm.
genius. Shall we move on to Thor? I was about to say Thor.
yeah. Let's not go that far. We are talking about
Oh.
Thor, period, and no subtitle. Fuck all.
I don't know if this is going to be a particularly long.
So
Uh,
I want to talk about. Okay, I'm a nerd when it comes to D&D and a whole bunch of things, and I loved the fact when I found
Stop trying
out
to hide the fact. Just say it. You've got a
Uh,
crush on Travis
I
Willingham. We
have
all
the
do.
hardest crush, like the rock hardest crush on Travis Willingham. And the fact that I found out that he actually, it was a cameo, a small piece. He doesn't do
Well, it wasn't a
much of.
cameo. He was just doing his job
Yeah, he was, yeah,
and broke his hand.
and broke his hand because he punched something.
He
didn't-
punched the ground when the frost giant lands and
Yeah,
he hits the
he-
ground.
Yeah, he
Travis
punched the
broke his
ground. He
hand.
broke his hand because Travis Willingham, again, like Grog, is not the smartest person when it comes to certain things. But the fact that I could,
That man is a father.
yes, we say nothing, and Laura Bailey, the fact that we could throw these characters that were like, oh no, they do a lot of voice acting and stuff like that. They're not really known for being involved in a physical movie. To find out that Travis Willingham was a frost giant that everyone skipped over. Any of you who don't know who Travis Willingham is, you are dead to me.
He's okay. Let's go ahead and I just want to bring up Travis Willingham.
And I'll also throw this in that Connor also thought Travis Willingham was not in this movie.
Yeah, I thought he was in the either yeah, I thought he was in the second one, but no, he is in this one.
So
You can't see anything other than
no, you will see no scene where you can actually see as Travis Willingham. But don't worry, I've looked.
no, but I'm saying if you try and look up his acting credits, it's the new Critical Role TV series, Talks Machina, and Critical Role and Undeadwood. But he was
Yeah.
in Sophia the First, if we've got any Sophia the First.
And he was in
fans.
DBZ for
No,
a lot
he
of people who didn't know.
was
It. That's how he started his career in voice acting. Was DBZ. Him and Laura Bailey met.
I'm trying to
doing voice
see
acting
if
for
he
DBZ.
was in, because I know that's he was not in Dragon Ball Z. He was the big thing that he was in, however, was get to the name in just Full Metal Alchemist as Mustang. That was his like big break. He was also in Legend of Korra, Naruto. He's voiced Batman. He's played
Wait, who did
in
he-
Batman.
Who did he voice in Korra?
Probably
I'll tell you.
probably Bo.
He's also voiced. I think he's voiced Thor a couple times.
Yes, he has in the animated movies and series. He has voiced Thor.
He in Legend of Korra, Critical Role.
So in
Ben 10?
DBZ 1989 to 1996, he was a bartender in episode 30 and Namekian warrior in episodes 47 to 48. And also then further in Dragon Ball GT 1996 to 1997.
We don't speak about GT. He was Thor in Phineas and Ferb.
The fuck? He was Ace in One Piece, dude. That I just read and that actually blew my mind. Sorry, I have a massive crush on this man, but we'll continue away from Travis Willingham and actually talk about the main point of this conversation being Thor. So
Ganbat in Legend of Korra.
Ganbat.
And then additional voices. We can move on to Thor: The Dark World.
Yes, so now that we're done talking about our man crush of the century, T, we're going to throw it... Actually, no, Con, I'm going to throw it to you. Your views on the darkest movie produced in Marvel series.
No, this is not. The Dark
Darkest
World
in
is...
color. Oh, sorry, yes. Sorry, that's
Dark
the Dark
World
World.
is. I don't know. For me, the Thor movies are a bit of a black spot for me because I don't think that they are nearly as good as the first two. I mean, Ragnarok is one of my all-time favorite movies, but that's also up to the director Taika Waititi. He does an excellent job with almost everything he touches. We've got
almost.
Very true.
Almost.
Yeah, there's one thing that we
just say it out loud once.
It's Green Lantern.
Thank you.
But this for me was the beginning of the Loki cinematic universe.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Loki as a character is one of the best things the MCU has put out. Because what does that say?
Burden with glorious purpose.
Oh, that is so cool.
See, guys, there are people who know things like Talora, and then there are us commoners in the world that don't get nice things printed on our shit.
That is so dope. But Loki is since the
Loki
Disney
is next
series,
bay as well.
I love the character of Loki, and though he's had they haven't handled him particularly well in certain spots. Loki is fantastic.
Yeah, and again, this started the whole point of view of the trickster god. Everyone thinks he's dead.
Smolderholder wants to know your location.
So Walla Blackleg, man crush of the century. Smolderholder wants to know your location. I didn't say of the century. I said he is next bay in the phase 1. Keegan, we do not talk about Smolderholder unless we're talking about...
We had a conversation about that last week.
Yes, we had about this, guys. Let's leave Smolderholder alone. But he's second bay in terms of phase 1. Definitely.
But I mean, Loki is the reason we get the Infinity Saga, like in my opinion.
Yeah, without Loki, and his involvement with the Chitauri
and his constant need to have his hand on the fucking cube at all times.
Yeah, that man is needy for that cube. Eh?
He was, and that's pretty much how he started the shit in the Loki series as well. So he got to start touching them cube. One thing so you stated like it's super forgettable for this movie. I think the first thing for me was the mass CGI in this creation. This is where
Asgard and
everything in terms of no matter what realm they went to. It was
a green screeny movie.
It was, but from the aspect of this is finally where they took all their fuck you money and decided to throw it because it was out of space. It was different galaxies and stuff like that. This is where the producers and the directors and the production companies finally took all of their money from all of the other films and said, fuck you, let's build something, that has non-stop CGI in every aspect of it. This was amazing. And to show that the skills that they had to do so, I mean, from the very beginning of like them destroying nearly half of the Frost Giant world, with a fucking hammer to building Asgard, to the Bifrost, to the Rainbow Road. I'm gonna the bridge between the Bifrost and no, the actual bridge between Bifrost and Asgard, the road itself, the path that they have to walk
The
on.
Rainbow Bridge.
The Rainbow Bridge.
No, but the Rainbow Bridge is the Bifrost.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the CGI that goes behind that, the destruction of the Bifrost at the same time. I mean, this metal figure that goes to burn the shit out of everyone. It was fantastic. I think in terms of a CGI aspect, this is where pretty much everything started to take course. That's my personal opinion.
And you, Talora?
Look, you know what? Forgettable movie, like you said. I think aside from Tom Hiddleston in general, my favorite thing about the movie was Thor learning to be human. Like the whole being Donald Blake thing and him having to learn human manners. You know, like you can't ride a dog.
Not be a god.
It's
And then be revered as a god. Be just a buff dude.
Just remind him that powers are given to you, they can be taken away.
Another, you know? And he has to learn people manners. And I like how we get that callback in the Loki series. Another.
Yeah, where he does the exact same thing. And it's like, oh, it's just like a common thing they do.
But like the best thing about the film for me was Thor learning to become worthy or learning humility, as it were. Other than that, there's nothing really too interesting about the film. I mean, Jane Foster, very forgettable.
She was quite quickly. I mean, Thor in the Dark World. After that, it's who the fuck is Jane Foster? We then focus on her sidekick, which then gets involved in WandaVision.
Yes, but Darcy was much more interesting.
Exactly, and she was the quirky commentary that Marvel decided to throw in this one.
I wonder what they're gonna do in Love and Thunder, because Talora will probably know more about this. But who's going to be? Is it gonna be Lady Thor? Who's gonna be Lady Thor?
I think it was a lot of fan art, but I'm not sure if any has been released. But I have seen Natalie Portman.
I really hope that Natalie Portman steps it up, because, you know, though granted it's another Taika Waititi film, I'm excited. I'm on board for that.
But a director can't save an actor from.
No, but hopefully if the rest of the movie surrounding the bad actor is good enough, we can just ignore it.
But also, I think like keeping the character that was introduced in the beginning as the character that continues through is a big part. Whereas if you start changing the characters up, it starts losing like the recognition of what the film's about, who the film surrounds, and stuff like that.
But I just hope that they can get her, because in this and in Dark World, she wasn't fantastic. Hopefully they can iron out the issues and get it to where it needs to be.
Well, they have a giant hammer for that.
I've seen some set pictures and I'm already disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
I've seen one set picture, and that was buff-ass Thor and Taika Waititi as Korg, and that got me hyped. So we'll see.
Like, they look good. She does not.
Yeah. So I also want to touch on like the understanding his limitations without his powers was the pain that actually came across his face when he tried to lift the hammer and he still wasn't worthy. He found his hammer, is like, yeah, I can pick it up now, and he tried. And the strain that was put on him to realize he still actually isn't worthy. He needs to become a worthy, god again. Like, granted, he could probably still punch the shit out of a car and move it if he wanted to. He still had his strength, I mean, outside of that. But he wasn't Thor, God of Thunder.
No,
he was Thor,
just
superhuman.
Donald Blake.
Yeah, he was superhuman.
Oh, I get you. I see the one of her buff.
Oh,
it looks terrible.
And also, I think another introduction of the man, the myth, the legend, the Eyes himself, Idris Elba. The first introduction of him, the gatekeeper, the Bifrost gatekeeper. I thought it was fantastic. The name everyone screams out whenever they need to move from place to place.
It's just
Heimdall.
they didn't use him enough. They just kind of forgot about him for most of the film. He was only there at like key pivotal moments when they needed to go somewhere, but it was such a sad use of Idris Elba.
Yeah, I think
they do make good on that later though.
Yeah, well, it's in Ragnarok, where they actually make use of the man who can see all hiding
Yes.
for those who want to see him.
Yes.
And I mean, it doesn't give a lot of aspect of who Heimdall is, but it's a bit of a tidbit, and then they kill his character, so there's that. So
Well, he went on to bigger and better things, didn't he?
he did. He is a amazing actor, in my personal opinion. Fuck everyone else what they think. I think he's perfect. But
Now, moving on to the next one, I'm gonna let Talora get her spiel out before I think either of us say anything because she's already angry at me.
I'm just like, do you know what? Captain America is such a good film. Like, to say that it is boring, it has boring bits, but it's a good film. Like, once they get past the whole Johan Smith thing in Norway, that's very boring. The start is very boring, but once they get into it, it's interesting. It's fun. It's great to see the little guy, Steve Rogers, doing his thing and getting the super soldier serum, but also he is the most brave of all the candidates. And
I
man, it's
think
such
this
a
is the
good
very
movie.
first film that actually took a slower pace of the introduction and creation of a character, which made you feel a lot more for the actual purpose that goes behind this creation. I mean, from going from what Steve Rogers was before the super serum, what happened when he got the super serum, he's this amazing soldier. Still wasn't in the army. He was the person that says, "We want you," type of thing.
He was
And
Uncle
then
Sam.
he was literally a showgirl for the army, like to say, like, we need more people to go fight in the war, and we appreciate you fighting in the war. To actually being a character that goes and, like, he says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go fight in the war,"
Yes.
and goes and
And
does it.
the thing is,
Thought
he
they were eggs.
Steve Rogers is such a good character because he's not this goody two shoes that everybody turns like makes out that he is. He's defied orders. He literally went against everything that Colonel Phillips said, and he went to go rescue the 107th. He did that completely unsanctioned and with the help of Howard Stark and Peggy Carter. And he just was like, "Well, stuff you guys. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do."
But
Yeah,
that's
this
the
is
thing is
something.
Steve does the right thing because it's the right thing.
He does it impulsively, whether people appreciate it or not,
Mm.
or understand it or not.
Because
Yes.
he's very focused on doing the right thing, no matter what the outcome, what the
If,
personal outcome is.
I mean,
He wants to do the right thing.
he's expecting to crash the plane with the
Mm.
Tesseract to destroy it, knowing that he'll die in the process.
Yeah, and he's willing to do that because it is the right thing.
And because he puts
Exactly.
everyone else first, and there's only one time in the cinematic universe he doesn't do that. Is he finally puts himself first? Is when he returns the stones. He decides
talk to
he's
me
going to
about
stay
that.
back. But that's the aspect that you never see through any of the films, is him caring only about himself.
Very out of character.
Which I think it was fair then because his work was done.
And also,
I refuse. I refuse.
also Chris also decided that he's no longer continue as Captain America.
Captain
So
America.
he finished his contract. He said he's not going to continue. Obviously, they had to make it in some form of a way or continuation onto the next.
I'll talk about it like in the Phase 3 episode because then you will really hear my opinion. Don't get me started on Endgame.
We're already an hour and 47 minutes in. We don't have another 2 hours just for Talora's bit
Yes.
on Steve's
By the way,
character.
we spent like an hour just talking about Iron Man 1.
Yeah. So as I said, I found it kind of boring, but that's because I like the super modern stuff. This is our first real introduction to an Infinity Stone, which is the Tesseract the Space Stone.
Yeah.
It's now it's starting to broaden the scope of what's happening in the MCU. And this is the first real like toe dip into the Infinity Saga, because now we're getting to see where
What the
the
can do.
yeah, that what we've been seeing now is on such a small scale, and that there's stuff that's significantly bigger than everybody else. And
And
Marvel
the
does,
purpose is a lot bigger too.
yeah, and Marvel does this a lot where they'll say, okay, this is this is the most powerful here, and then no, this is the most powerful, and then you get scenes like in Loki where a dude's got a drawer full of Infinity Stones, and you're like, the power that you thought was universe breaking is just paperweight to this next thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, one
it
stone
does,
compared to the gauntlet.
and then the gauntlet compared to several Infinity Stones just laying about. You know, them not being that important to somebody like Kang, and it does. You know, they do tend to keep widening the scope and keep showing you that there are more powerful um, s- beings out there, and the power scaling keeps ramping up. And this is our first taste that Iron Man and the Hammer guys, that was a bit crazy, right? Oh shit, we got gods. That was a bit crazy, right? No, we've got artifacts that come from the dawn of time that can literally do anything. This is kind of crazy, right?
So I'm gonna touch on
Uh,
two subjects here, Connor.
yeah,
You're trying so hard not to laugh at what Talora is doing, and Talora, I
Yeah.
think we need to
I
get a
am.
little stand to go right underneath him, so his little face stays perfectly in that little
Sorry,
square.
I've also got a cat that's trying to pull my monitors off of my desk.
No, again, you don't get
Wait.
this interaction without cameras, guys. Just letting you know. Uh,
Oh.
so I want to go to a part that everyone skips over. These were fucking Nazis.
Oh wait! I've got one more. I've got one more thing. The CGI in this movie was terrible,
Well, I mean, it was the least expensive that they made. In all
and
fairness
it
to them.
shows.
No, it doesn't. It shows in the first half an hour that you see midget version of Chris Evans.
But another thing again, last point is much like Tony, Cap will be modeled after Chris Evans
They
because
ha-
he did it again. Marvel did it again. They found an actor that embodies the character.
yeah. So
That's
again,
America's ass.
we can include the failed attempts of inclusion of a new Cap that took the fandom by storm and destruction and pissed everybody off. But again, remembering how they introduced it, what the purpose of that character's introduction wasn't necessary because, or wasn't out of the blue because Captain America is Steve Rogers is Chris Evans.
We'll get to that in Phase 4.
Well, no, that was all a part of the Falcon Winter Soldier
Yeah, that's
stuff
what I
that
say.
we discussed.
We're getting onto that, and just what everybody needs to know is
Yeah,
sending death threats to actors is not cool.
yeah, fuck all of you.
Yes.
But the fact that
Even the people who didn't send death threats, fuck you too.
yeah, no, but for anyone that refers to Captain America, it's going to be Chris Evans.
Mm.
For anyone that
But
refers to to Tony Stark, it's Robert Downey Jr.
but like I have an edit to that. Chris Evans is Steve Rogers, but Steve Rogers is just one of the Captain Americas. Like,
Yes,
he is Steve Rogers, and I think it's important to separate that he isn't always Captain America.
Captain
he
America,
isn't always
because
switched on as Captain America.
no,
he's
the thing
no,
is,
but
I think you take the aspect of he is the Captain America. He is the start of what everyone else followed
and then
and
we have an
aspired to
agency
be.
that micromanages all of time. That's pretty crazy, right? Wallow in the chat.
Yeah, again, phase 4. But
Yeah, that's the thing. And then just to jump off from Keegan's comments, oh, there's a dude who literally killed hundreds of versions of himself so that time wouldn't collapse in on itself. That's kind of crazy, right?
but for all of this, like, yes, Chris Evans is Steve Rogers, but Steve Rogers is the Captain America.
Yes.
He
No,
is
I
the
think,
original, the first, and what everyone else wants to be, which
but I
is
think Talora's comment does have a lot of merit there because for the majority of the MCU and especially the Captain America movies, Steve isn't Captain America. He's Steve Rogers
not.
doing his thing with a shield.
He's
Yes.
doing it
Captain
in a
America-
suit.
No, not even out of the suit like in Civil War. He's just being Steve, and
Yeah.
he's
Yes.
doing what he believes is
Is right.
good and is
Yeah.
right.
And like
So-
Captain America is this it's propaganda. It's this huge
It is.
propaganda that was used.
We want
And
you.
He stopped being that guy like the moment he crashed into the ice.
Yeah, and when he comes to term with being the that he was just a figurehead and he was this morale boost for the army, he stops being Captain America and he's just Steve in a suit. He's good
Yes.
with the shield.
He's a
The
buff.
shield-
He's a bigger, better version of who he was in the first place. He's just able
Yes.
to do more now.
Exactly.
He's able to do more. He's a super soldier, and he's then not defined by the shield anymore. But the shield still does stand for a lot, as explained in
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
So I think
But-
on that, it then ties into my comment that brain is better than brawns some of the time.
Some of the time.
Yeah.
No.
On the aspect that, yes, Steve Rogers was never accepted for his small stature and stuff like that, yet he still had the passion, he still had the heart, he still had the courage to do everything. Even in his small stature, even though he wouldn't stop a grenade, he wouldn't stop one of those firecracker things you throw on the ground that explode and just go pa. He wouldn't be able to stop that with his small figure that he was.
But he was
He
still
would
willing
s-
to
he
put
was
his
still
life
willing-
on the line.
Exactly. That's why I agree with that comment that, well, Captain America, the Captain America is Steve Rogers. With that same idea that it is the purpose of what he stands behind and what he does, no matter his form, he would still try and do his best.
It's
So
it's more about
that's-
Steve than
yeah.
it is.
That's where the passion, the brains come in. They give him muscles. It still doesn't go past the fact that he's still going to do whatever he needs to. Even
Yeah.
if it didn't have the muscles, he was going to do it anyway.
Exactly.
So
And
only some of the times because he can throw a shield like a motherfucker and catch it. I think
I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna keep quiet because it's spoilers.
no, spoil away. Again,
Uh,
if,
spoil-
Spoilery. Is it spoilery for stuff we haven't seen?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Is it,
don't
it's
spoil
it's
it
what
then,
if,
'cause
isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
well,
Okay.
we say spoilers to everyone else, Connor. We're gonna say spoilers to
Okay,
you
so
too.
I'm gonna do this. Put up your finger while you're talking, and then I will put these back on when the finger comes down. So go ahead, speak.
So like there's a point in What If where Steve, even though he doesn't get the super soldier serum, he still becomes a hero, and that's who he is.
Yeah, because he
is a hero.
stands by what he does. So it takes that whole concept. Like, yes, he
So
can
I'm
rip
out of the
he can
conversation at
rip
the
a door of a car, use it as a shield. It then meant nothing because he was still going to try and get the objective done of saving lives.
Exactly, and so in What If you see Skinny Steve becoming the Hydra Stomper, so he found a way to still do what he needed to do.
In
To
his small
be-
form,
Exactly.
he didn't let the body of or his size define him and his actions.
Exactly.
He still did what he needed to. I think we need to bring Connor back in. He's not so happy. I'm just gonna ruin this for him when he puts the headset on.
No, don't.
No, I'm not that bad of a person, but he looks so funny. He's got his hair
I've
caught.
managed to get my hair caught in my headphones. Problem with having long hair.
I've got to ask, when he puts his headset on, I think he deafened himself in the Discord. Did you deafen yourself? So you couldn't hear us at all anyway.
No, I took my headphones off completely. I can't hear.
Okay, so
it
what
now.
we said, Con, was... no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. I'm not about
I'll
that.
rip out more of my hair.
Yeah, also, we skipped past a very, very major thing. It was fucking Hitler. They were dealing with Hitler at the
Well,
time.
they weren't
This was-
dealing with Hitler.
no,
They were
but
dealing
this-
with Hydra.
No, they were dealing with a person under Hitler's ranks creating Hydra.
I think
But
that
they-
Hydra was the bigger threat
Well, I mean,
of the two.
when it comes to the supernatural, well, not supernatural, the
I'd
non-natural.
say it's supernatural.
Well, okay, the supernatural aspect of what Marvel Universe or the Marvel Cinematic Universe is about. Yeah. Hitler was zero threat compared. I mean, for
No,
people who can
compared
jump through
to
time, they
Hydra
could.
and Red Skull, I think
The Red
Hitler
Skull.
was because
Hitler was Hitler could have been
was kind
a
of
sorry.
Hitler was as much a figurehead as anybody on the Axis side when playing with forces this big.
Yeah, but again, with the people, what they've been able to do as of dates, as of the very latest release of the MCU, Hitler wasn't in any way, shape, or form able to take on what the Avengers are.
Yeah, no, but
But
I think also that in this movie we get a better taste of the power of the infinite of the one Infinity Stone that we've seen.
and I think it's also it takes away from that. Yes, war exists, but there are bigger threats that exist outside of what you just generally see in
Yeah.
everyday life. I mean, the creation of Hydra underneath Hitler's nose.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I'm 100% sure Hitler knew fuck all about it.
And the fact that we get to see like Hydra members throughout all of these shows that we've seen, we see one in Iron Man 2, like the continuity.
It was fantastic. Like throwing in these small tidbits as a reminder, being like, remember what you saw in that other movie? Yeah, we're going to continue. Remember what you saw? You're going to see this character again later on. You know, Hail Hydra, and then you just see a pin. Pin doesn't mean much until you understand what Hydra looks like and understand the aspect of cut off one head, two shall take its place. That's where the idea of this comes from, that no matter how much you try, they're fucking sneaky. They're going to be everywhere anyway. So I think that was also like a big importance of this. And another big thing, I say a mask, wasn't really a mask. He took off his face.
Skin suit.
Yeah.
In the suit.
The villain is always powerful.
Just a suit.
A villain is always powerful until the mask is removed.
Oh no, except for Red Skull, he became significantly more powerful when his mask came off. It was only because he got greedy that he died.
Yeah, but exactly the point. I mean, you know, well, yeah, he's now trapped at the soul, as the gateway to the soul stone explanation. But that continuity, or it happened in Black Widow, it's gonna happen in many other things with Taskmaster and stuff like that. It's as soon as the character takes off the mask, they lose this level of we're up here and now we're back down here again type of thing. Like, we're awesome, we're fantastic, you can't beat me. Oh, by the way, look at my face.
I get told,
now
no, my villains are too powerful when their mask comes off. In D&D, that's a D&D reference.
Yes, well, Connor, shut the fuck up. Okay, we'll have the discussion outside with fists. But no, I think that was...
You're gonna do it tomorrow morning in the sun. It's kind of chilly out. I don't feel like walking all the way down the stairs.
I'm gonna come up there and beat your ass while you're trying to lie in bed.
Upstairs, I've got a much better chance of winning.
Oh, you hear about that. Anyway.
Gonna be too tired to stand. Okay. There is no for chat. There is no animosity. He is one of my closest friends.
Yes, we just give each other shits.
Okay,
I think
Avengers.
No. I think Talora still had a bit more.
Oh, okay.
with...
I was gonna clap, but fun.
Well, no,
What I wanted to say was Bucky.
Yes. This again, it's an introduction of an important key that no one thinks about. And again, the mask got taken off when Bucky revealed his fucking face in Winter Soldier.
That moment.
And then he got weak again. He was this OP motherfucker. He could do anything. Takes off his mask. Bucky!
But one
I'm
thing,
gonna start having some issues now.
With mask, without a mask, he can still catch anything that is thrown at him.
Yes, he is still powerful, but he loses the points of the Winter Soldier. He now starts fading.
He wasn't the villain, he was the victim.
Yes, he was.
Oh, shame, Talora.
Talora has like it is. It was brainwashing type of shit, and they pitted him against his best friend.
His bestest buddy.
His bestest friend. And
His
by the way,
buddy,
they kept.
Bucky.
We have Luna was here
you.
now following us. Thank you guys so much. Dull versus Khan, a bigger battle than Infinity War, the neighbor war. Should we call this a civil war then, just between you and I? It's not going to end any civil. But yes, thank you to the new follower. Luna was here. We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. But I don't know if you. I know you put another note there about the anxiety of Chris.
Yes, Chris Evans. He declined to play Steve Rogers 7 times. He was approached continuously, and he had like immense anxiety about taking on a contract that long. But I
Yeah,
mean,
I
he did
think
a good job
besides
overall.
even that, if they approach you saying, "Here's a very important character in something that is extremely massive," because at this point they started making a shit ton of money. I
Yes.
mean, the producers and the companies, all of that. So at this point, they're like, "By the way, here's a very key role, pretty much the leader of the Avengers. We want you to take this
And
role, and also it's going to be for like 10 years. So
if
you better
I'm
be
not
okay with that."
mistaken, it was RDJ that actually convinced him at the
Yep,
end.
it was. RDJ actually went to go speak to him about it because, I mean, having experience from his situation, having his own anxiety from his past somehow
Yes.
affecting his current role, and with Chris Evans being afraid that he cannot hold up to the stature of what Captain America or Steve Rogers is, and afraid that he'll let this entire thing down. I think that was
But instead, he's
very
just left
key.
a huge legacy.
He did, and again, as we say, wherever you look, you see Chris Evans. You
Yes.
see that face when it comes to Steve Rogers.
Yes.
And I think that's that anxiety when you reach this point that everyone will see you, they'll go Steve Rogers, and then be like, I mean Chris Evans, you'll be like, I did right by signing that contract, by putting my name down, and exactly putting his effort into all of this to being Captain America.
Exactly.
That was amazing.
Exactly. Like, it was just such a good film for me. I don't know.
Yeah, so I just thought it was fantastic either way. But it again falls that whole you have anxiety until what you
And
thought
then
was made you afraid wasn't anymore. He started embodying Steve Rogers. He embodied the character. He put a lot of effort into it. Bucky got hits. Fuck's sake, reading. So Water Blacklake in chat saying Bucky got hits with the JRPG machine. The boss was the beast in the battle, but the moment you recruit him to your party, his ultimate attack goes basically nothing. Yes. He is this monster of a character, monster of a villain. He joins your team, and now he's one of the chump change. He can be taken on by mere mortals, none with any abilities, any superpowers. Yes. You're just like, yeah, okay, I beat you, join my team, and then you become the weaker link. Nothing
Bucky is
against
still
Bucky. Nothing against
Bucky is
Bucky.
still a super soldier. He's still
Yes.
got.
Connor and the Wakanda woman can rip his arm off with a few touches. They just boop, boop,
But
boop. They boop him
but
on the snoot and he loses an arm. Come on.
he got his hero moment. He got his hero landings.
He did.
Good.
He did.
Good.
He even felt like, I forgot her name. Black Widow's sister. The same aspect of, you do this, why do you do this? And then he feels gross about the exact same thing. He does the hero landing, is like, but why? And then she did the whole hair
Lands
flip
and
thing, and
hair
she
flip.
feels disgusted. She's like, ugh. It's that. It's just a lot of fun for that. Prosthetic feet sock things.
I
Okay.
gave
You
us
wanna give us a little bit
I
of?
think a lot of context needed for this. My brain just.
Okay.
What
So
the fuck?
there's a scene where just after he is transformed, he is barefoot and he has to chase down a Hydra soldier. He was not barefoot in that scene. He
Is
was
that when
wearing-
he picked up the car door for the taxi?
Yes. So you should go look at the set pictures of the sock feet things that they put on him. It's hilarious, and it's not the first time that he's had to wear a prosthetic for Marvel.
Please tell me it's like those Hobbit shoes that look like Hobbit feet.
It's but it was bad. It was
A good thing while you're watching the movie, you're not staring at the fucking weirdo's feet.
Yeah, if you're staring at the dude's feet, then you are the weirdo.
listen. I've seen that film a hell of a lot, but
You
just
what?
just
You
go
stare
look
at feet a lot.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
just go and look at the set picture of that of oh my gosh, it's terrible.
I think that's definitely something we're gonna do later. Is stare at Chris Evans' feet.
Look, I
Is
stare
this
at
how
Chris
feet
Evans a lot,
fetishists start?
I think.
Probably. But
Oh, you're
not
famous.
that
Show me your
picture.
feet. Probably not that
Not
big.
that picture.
It's them nasty toes is what they're looking at. No, so I think
Shall we
on
move
that,
on?
yeah. So with that,
Moving
I
along
think we
swiftly.
move on to the most powerful parts that MCU has to do.
17.
Is the release, the introduction, the full fucking cahoots, the everything you want to include. You know, those rascals, whatever the fuck you want to say. The inclusion of the final group, the Avengers.
The cap suit in this movie was so bad.
Yeah, a lot of changes did occur.
That one.
Yes.
It's truly, it looks so good on the pop, but in the movie it just looks bad. Like the contrast
supposed to be camp.
the contrast in that scene in Endgame, it's amazing.
Oh, the
Where
scale
you
suit
see
in
like the new
Endgame.
cap, the more war ready, it.
The scale suit.
But yeah, Ruffle Hulk is best Hulk.
Yes. Okay. So this outside of because there haven't been any loose releases or sole releases of this continuation of Hulk being Mark Ruffalo's. This character inclusion again, an actor embodying a character, even though they have been played by multiple characters before, like you've seen with other versions of the Hulk. This is again another one where your concept of the Hulk is going to be Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
This,
definitely.
uh,
But for me, Mark Ruffalo brings that specifically to Bruce. He brings that tiredness that Bruce always has because he's constantly fighting an internal battle for control of who he is, and you can really see that this version of Bruce isn't a dude who can turn into a big green monster. It's a guy who is emotionally distraught constantly because of he doesn't want to go into an uncontrollable rage and become this monster who can just destroy
but
everything.
he's always angry. That was the
Granted,
worst
he
line in the
is.
fucking movie. I'm sorry.
That's
It
my
was.
secret cap.
I'm always angry.
Memed
I th-
into the ground.
It memed into my version of alcoholism. But besides
the
that,
secret.
that's
I'm
my secret.
always
I'm
drunk.
always drunk.
Us throughout college.
Yes, but I think another part on top of that is Mark Ruffalo looks like a fucking nerd. He looks like a fucking scientist.
He does.
But he
that's
is
the
a
thing.
scientist.
No, but that's
no,
the thing. He
that's the thing.
portrays
He is-
Bruce Banner, the scientist.
Yes, not Bruce Banner, who we're just waiting to turn into the Hulk. He's
Yeah.
an interesting character to watch when he's
Outside
human,
of the
when
Hulk.
he's-
When
And
you see him travel around, I mean, you see as we talk about the pain that he goes through. I mean, when he plummets from the ship to the ground as the Hulk turns back to his normal form, and he's like, he's like confused as to what the fuck's just happened. He's not happy that he's just destroyed this entire fucking building, even though luckily no one was there.
I actually, in my opinion, it's more interesting to watch the Bruce scenes than it is to watch the Hulk scenes.
Yes,
because
Hulk
Mark
smash.
Ruffalo plays Bruce Banner so well, and it's far more interesting to watch him be Bruce Banner, the scientist, the person who has a disease, who it's not a superpower. It is a disability. It's something that's wrong with him,
And
that
also
he can't function in normal society. Sorry, Dal.
No worries.
Because of this thing, and he's now been forced out of society because of it, or he's excluded himself.
Yeah, he kind of went into isolation for the protection of others because of a mistake he made.
And I think that is
surrounded by people.
That is so much more interesting.
But he was still surrounded by people. Wasn't he in India, which is like
the
most
he was, but he wasn't
place ever.
He was excluding
a
himself from anything that would link him to the Hulk, first of all, and also to be able to solely focus on his actual degree and Scientology or the intelligence aspect of Bruce
Scientology.
Banner. Yeah. Sorry,
But
scientist, not
but he
Scientology.
was also using his intellect to help the people that he was. And it doesn't look like he, when I say that he excluded himself from society, it was from regular society because he was in a rural town.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he was in the slums. He was trying to look after those who got sick from things that he could. I mean, outside of this is a man who cannot fix what's wrong with him. The best he
So
can do
he's-
is fix what's wrong with everyone else. So to keep his mind focused on that keeps his mind away from anger. To being able to help others keeps him from going into a rage and destroying and flattening and taking down Johannesburg. So that's exactly what it
fact,
was.
I saw them filming that.
Oh my and the fucking devil in the background again. My fucking god. Connor, you need to turn the lights on in your fucking lounge. Please. Scares the shit out of me.
You scared Dylan.
No, so I think that brings the humanity side of this extreme person. Someone who could, as I said, flatten entire cities within moments. Showing that this is a man struggling with something but trying to help others at the same time. And I think a lot of that is also missed in The Incredible Hulk, which is something they could have touched on.
It was something they did touch on,
But they didn't
but they
release.
decided to cut it.
Exactly. And I think, again, things could have been a lot better if different ways were played. But I'll throw it again. I think Connor had made his first comment being Ruffle Hulk is best Hulk.
No, that was my second. My first one was Super Team.
Super Team, yes. Avengers, assemble. Never said until the very fucking end. I could be wrong about that. But I'll throw it into Talora because her and I have one sole agreement that we definitely agree on in this one. But I'll
First
throw it
of
to
all,
you.
Hawkeye is the most underused and underappreciated character. Clint Barton is one of the coolest characters in the comic. Let me tell you that. And the fact that we don't like Renner, I understand that, but Clint Barton just deserves more. He is cool. He is.
Wait, why don't we like Renner?
I don't even know. People don't like Renner.
But I think he's fine, but his character gets so much more depth when we find out that like he is a human. He is an actual person.
And he's easy to relate to because he is a human. He's just
Yeah,
got this incredible talent.
Yes, he is a non-super person.
Him, like Black Widow, was the exact same argument that these are two people with no powers.
But they
go toe to toe with
skill.
gods and people with money and people with machines and people that turn into big green Hulk monsters and they stroke their hand and they go back to human. And fucking understand. But they can go toe to toe with these people and still put up quite a fight.
Sorry, just that made me think of Ragnarok. It's getting the
sun's getting dark. Sun's getting dark. Sun's getting dark.
But yeah, when you find out that Clint Barton is a dad and that he's an actual, I think, okay, I keep getting caught up on my words. I think that the strongest thing that Marvel does for their characters is the humanization.
Yes.
So giving their characters more dimension than just, oh, they've got superpowers and they kick the bad guys' asses. No, Steve is trying to reckon with a world that is completely changed. The love of his life has passed away. He doesn't know the world that he lives in.
No, she passes
Tony,
away when he comes back.
there. Yeah. But still, she's lived her entire life without him, and now he has to come to terms with this fact. Tony has to live with the fact that his body has betrayed him. He can't function like a normal human being, and he's never going to be the playboy that he was. He can't go and drink and party anymore because he's got this glorious purpose.
And he has this fucking hole in his chest.
That's what I was saying, is he can't go out and party and that is now not, he's no longer just a normal human.
Well, that does get fixed later on, but again.
And then Thor dealing with the fact that
He is
there's
a human.
more. Huh?
That he's mortal.
That yeah, who?
Thor.
Tony or
Thor.
Thor?
Thor.
But
Thor.
also Tony coming to terms with his own mortality was a big step, and Thor realizing that there's bigger things than just because he was pretty self-important up until he got sent to Earth, and realizing that there is more to there's bigger things than him that he needs to protect.
And also taking up the mantle of God. Small G, but God nonetheless.
Yeah, that he can't just go around the cosmos fucking shit up because he's a god.
He can't just
He
go flatten
being
whatever he wants to.
again, it's glorious purpose. He has got these powers. He may as well use them for good.
Like, I think
And
the biggest thing shown here is that all these superheroes are dealing with mortal aspects, where the mortals are dealing with, you are gods.
How do we
Yeah.
You
keep
could
up
squish
with
the fuck with you. You could squish the fuck out of us. How do we continue to stay by your side and be able to assist you, and even help lead you in any like aspect of any situation? And yet they step up to the plate. I mean, there is a comment made in Age of Ultron when he's like, I could release an arrow and nobody will know. Nobody will know. Walla Blackleg saying, Herder, Hawkeye, Arrow Guy, Sticks Go, Pew Pew, lol. He's our frame of reference as a human. He literally comments on this himself during the final battle of Age of Ultron. This is one of the most human characters in the MCU. Exactly what I just spoke about.
Exactly.
this is effectively the thing of when they go to the Olympics, they should just take one regular guy to compete just as a frame of reference.
Yeah, just to be like, guys, remember, this is what you guys would do. Take a 40-year-old smoker and make him do the 3,000 meter.
Effectively, it's the same thing as Hawkeye is the human frame of reference. Granted, he's got skills that normal people don't, but they are down to training and some amounts of talent. So-
Including Natasha Romanoff, exactly the same
You
thing.
can't
Yeah.
actually perfectly say Natasha Romanoff because it
Yeah.
was never confirmed that she never got any form of serum. That's never been confirmed.
No,
No,
remember,
but they-
the whole
but
concept of
it's-
the Red Room was her, yes, being mind altered, but not
Yeah,
there's
physical
but-
alteration.
But look at her compared to the other Red Room agent, the one that fell, and then she fell like 40 floors at all. Like the
Yeah,
comparison.
we
is
did
there.
make a comment about
But
her somehow being able to survive that, but I think it's also on the aspect that she was the top of her class in every aspect, specifically
that-
for the survival.
how many years has she been an Avenger? She's not playing on the same scale as the rest of the Red Room girls. She is fighting gods and people whose abilities outmatch that of Earth's best humans. She is playing on that level, so she needs to. And we had this conversation. She is an Avenger. She faces Avenger level threats, so she has to be on par with him. She has to be able to.
So there is no slacking, there is no wasting
she ha-
time, there is no fucking about. Everything, you wake up, it's work, it's become the best, do the best type of thing. And that's exactly what both Hawkeye and Black Widow did.
Yeah, and Hawkeye and Black Widow have also stepped into their roles as Avengers. They are on the cosmic scale. They're fighting on a cosmic scale rather than
They got a fucking space to fight aliens, for fuck's sakes.
exactly.
Normal people will be like, I want to go stand on the moon. They're like, I'm going to go fight that thing on Mars.
I think our best frame of reference for a human in the Avengers is still Ant-Man because he has no clue what he's doing.
Well,
He's just going about.
he does have an electrical engineering degree behind him.
I don't know, but
He's
he is
not
he's
intelligent.
he is smart. He is right. No, he's clever. He
Yeah.
isn't
But he's a
smart.
disaster.
Yes,
He is. He's a walking disaster.
He's called himself that he's like, he doesn't know what the fuck he was doing. He fucks around with things
I'm
and shit happens.
I'm so excited for when we get to speak about
Quantum
Ant-Man.
leap.
But Quantumania. But yeah, the two humans, pure humans, aren't playing the same as this. They're not playing
on the same
with the
level.
same rules as normal humans. They are they are the same. They're playing on the level of Avengers. They have to fight cosmic threats like Thanos and the Chitauri in this movie specifically. The Chitauri or um, Ultron, who's going to end the world. They are on that level.
Yes.
And no matter
Um,
the outcome of whatever happens to them, the fact again that they do right when the situation
Mm.
calls for it
They are heroes
is exactly
at the
what
end of the
happens.
day.
Yeah, I mean, they even talk about I'm about to get onto a floating piece of land that will plummet and kill not only myself but thousands, millions of others. But
And
if no one else is
And
going to do it, I need to.
yeah,
they're willing to make that sacrifice.
Yeah,
mm,
and they do it again and again and again. When it comes down to eventually fighting Ultron, fighting the Chitauri, fighting Loki, fighting
Thanos.
Thanos, again and again and again.
Yeah. But yeah,
Jumping
that's my piece. What else have you guys? Sorry,
throw
I
it to
spoke a
Talora for
lot
that
there.
then.
I got 2 comments, right, about the post-credit scenes. First of all, the first time we see Thanos, it's disgusting. It is extremely gross.
Oh, that
In
face
the-
turn.
Yeah, and that thing in the seats where he's
Oh.
just like all awkwardly sitting, kind of big man, big honcho.
No,
Blech.
just no. And the second is, I mentioned before that Chris Evans was wearing prosthetics, Captain America. He had to do it again for the post-credit scene,
The shawarma.
the shawarma scene, but what they did was they gave him a fake face.
Why?
Because he couldn't
So-
shave his beard
Yes, he
because of
was
another
filming
role.
Snowpiercer.
Yeah, because of
Because
Snowpiercer, he
of-
was growing,
Oh,
So you'll
right.
see he's like sitting like covering his face,
and
like
he's
this,
facing away
because-
from the camera.
because the prosthetic was so bad.
Oh.
So I did read about that they had to, and also his hair and everything also had changed. So they gave him a wig, they gave him like a prosthetic face and stuff like that to try and hide everything. And obviously, like he had his back, but he had his hand over his face, trying really hard not to show any of it. And he couldn't speak or anything because obviously that would focus camera on him. So luckily, all of that entire scene was just them
But
eating shawarmas.
That scene is one of my favorites because they're not speaking. There's not a single line of dialogue in that whole scene. It's just showing that these people just saved the world and they're tired.
Yeah,
they
they-
need to just sit down for 5 minutes.
I will quote a Fast and the Furious character. They're hungry. They're
But
hungry.
There's a scene that was deleted from the film, and it's a very human scene about Steve Rogers, where he's adapting to life in the 21st century.
Is that where
and-
he's drawing?
Yes, he's drawing. He's sitting at a restaurant near Stark Tower, but he's also
Mm.
he rode the subway, and I think it was such a nice scene that they should have included it. It was very boring. There was no dialogue, or not much, should I say, but it would have helped Steve's character development
Well, I
because
think
we
I
do
think
forget that he is a man out of time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think a big part about it was the interaction between Steve Rogers and Falcon.
Yes.
Well, not Falcon himself, but I almost want to say Rhodes. What's the character name? No, we've all forgotten it. The character who is Falcon.
Oh, Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson,
Wilson.
thank you. Yes.
Thank
so
you.
the interaction between them when they're busy talking about Sam Wilson being a counselor for army
Yes, in
vets and
the
stuff
Winter
like that,
Soldier.
whereas Captain America is the army vet with like proper issues. He went
Yes,
in, he
PTSD.
fucking crashed a plane trying to destroy something, giving his own life for it. Ended up being frozen in ice and put into a world he absolutely knew nothing about.
Yeah,
The only
because
thing
it was
he knew
still
was
it
to
was still his.
train. Yeah, the only thing he knew was to train, keep up with his, just keep himself up and going, and then trying to understand everything around him. And then
It
Wilson
was still
and
his
himself.
world, especially being in New York. He couldn't, it was still his block. It was still his city.
But it
but
was
it had-
not the way he left it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he didn't recognize anything.
Yeah,
and it shows there's the I think it's in Captain America, the first Captain America, the post credit scene where Nick Fury comes to him and he says, Cap says, "Have you got a mission for me?" And it's still showing that he's still a soldier. That's the only thing he really knows how to do
well,
in
yes,
this.
because he has nothing else. He doesn't understand what to do with his life outside of being a soldier.
I have
Yes,
a fun
Delora.
fact. I have a fun fact about that scene.
Yeah.
So in that scene, he's wearing Converse, and Converse would be one of the only things that he recognizes the 21st century because as soldiers they were wearing Converse. Converse goes back to I think 1936 or something like that.
Oh,
They
so
were the
And
would
boots. They
be
made the boots for them
yes,
during the
so
wars.
that would have been
okay.
something that he does recognize,
Oh shit,
and I
that's
thought that was
interesting.
such a nice little tidbit.
Yeah, that he's it's something that makes sense to him. It's something
Yes.
it's a touchstone that he can then grasp onto. The same as him still being a soldier. He knows how to do that. I mean, he doesn't know cell phones and he doesn't know all of this new technology and this new world that he's
He
now
was still
living in.
writing on with a pen and pad when people were giving him suggestions of things to do, things,
Yeah,
music to listen to, instead of typing it down or
yeah.
having someone else do it for him.
Siri.
That's exactly what he did. Is he kept? Thank you, Siri. He kept all his like main respectful aspects from when before
Yeah,
he went into the ice.
he kept all the stuff that still made sense to him.
Yeah. But I think that shows a greater connection then between Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers. Was that exact? I'm a counselor for those who don't know.
Yeah, for
He was
vets.
specifically for vets that didn't know what to do outside
Yeah.
of war.
No,
That was something that
weren't
was said.
used to being deployed. That needed. Oh, I think it's vets that have come home from the war and they're not going on another.
Yeah, and they don't know what to do it themselves. They don't know
Yeah.
how. Like, I mean,
They
he
don't know how to
helps them.
function in
Yeah,
normal
he
society.
tries to help set up jobs for them to kind of get them back on their feet as a normal person living in their world. And that is a perfect way to introduce two characters that have a strong bond.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is a person dealing with this problem and a person who deals with other people who have this problem. And I think that was just fantastic. I do have additional comments.
Let's hear him.
Go
So,
ham.
I'll definitely agree with Talora. I did say here, I'll have to move it to he is third bay, but little letters, small caps. He is small BAE being Hawkeye.
Similar to Thor being small G god.
Yeah, small G God. and,
Hawkeye is small B
bay.
Bay.
Yeah, small BAE bay. With the first Robert Downey Jr. being capital letters in all aspects of the letters bay. But yes, Hawkeye definitely. I also want to introduce that there was another Critical Role character introduced, put in the Avengers, being Ashley Johnson. My wife hates this woman in terms of her personality. My wife doesn't agree with her, and I find that she's okay. But again, it's something I watched outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, talking about
It's
these
that
people.
meme of Leonardo DiCaprio going.
Yeah, like hey,
I remember
hey,
seeing
look
her when I
here.
was watching through it. I was like, oh hey, it's a really young Ashley Johnson.
Yeah, and fun fact, she worked at the shawarma place.
Yes.
They
She
sat
was
down there. She was the
the-
waitress giving
Yeah.
them their food. And also just found that funny when Tony Stark wakes up after getting, his fucking reactor relit. The first thing he says is, I know a really good shawarma joint down the road. And again, it's like, introduction of these voice actors that don't get their face put into films.
Well, I mean, Ashley is an actor, a
Outside
live
of
action actor.
yeah, she's a
first.
series. But I mean, it's this idea that a lot of people know, if they know a lot about voice actors, know these people. They don't necessarily know them very well in
Yeah, it's like
face.
it would be kind of crazy if like Troy Baker were to show up in something.
Exactly. And then you're like, but who the fuck is this guy? But like their voice sounds really familiar. And then you find out and you're like, oh, this person's been doing what I've enjoyed for so long, and now that I see their face, it's weird.
Well, it's like Matt Mercer has ruined video games for me because I no longer hear characters. I hear Matt Mercer.
No, you hear it's high noon.
Well, it's High Noon. In Warcraft. There's dragons that he's voiced, and it's still in the deep voice. And I'm like, that's Matthew Mercer.
and
That's
he
not
also-
a dragon.
He also
That's a
voiced
wonderful man with he's
beautiful
just
hair.
Gorgeous. He's just all of it's just
and
gorgeous.
I also found out Matt Mercer has voiced a DC character called Our Man in the latest release. So it's a man who takes a super serum and is super soldier for like an hour, and then you can't take it for the next 24 hours again. But again, I saw that and I just thought it was awesome. Talora, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm
Any-
just
any-
saying, if you like Ashley Johnson, go and watch that deleted scene from the Avengers where.
Oh, where
Steve's out
she
of-
talks to him.
Yes.
Yes.
I think
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing I definitely want to watch. The other thing is Now this is tough for people to grasp. You get Justice League, then you get Superman, who's 99% of the Justice League. Okay, you get Hulk, then you get everyone else that is 10% of the Avengers, because the Hulk, they can't defeat much of the Tatari until Hulk gets there and smashes one of the giant floating whales to shit.
I
and then
don't
progress is
think
made.
that I don't think it's the same thing as the Justice League not having Superman.
No, they
I
can
mean,
they can definitely like
they
take
can
on
function,
quite a lot.
but if you take out like Hulk and Iron Man or Hulk and Thor, then they've got a problem.
Yeah, but the thing
Because
is,
then they've
Hulk,
taken out the people who can fly, and then it's
yeah, but then you take out Hulk, you take out eventually, which then comes down to the Bruce Banner Hulk combination, the intelligence with the strength. He's now on both sides of the brains and the brawn spectrum. He's built like a motherfucker. His intelligence is shit. He's
Bruce. Yeah, but Hulk is not smart. Hulk is not clever either.
But again, he is the
he
powerhouse.
just smash.
He can take on
Professor
Thor.
Hulk.
Yeah,
Professor.
the Hulk can take on Thor as a normal day-to-day routine for him. Something that's just
Puny god.
it's a play toy for him. He can destroy buildings just by jumping through them. This man can stop fucking anything he wants to with a little turn of a wrist and a little thrust forward. He can stop this flying monstrosity that can take down cities in a single punch.
Space whales.
Fucking space whale. Which they struggle to do
They
much
was-
damage to in the fucking beginning. Hulk gets there, smacks one, and then they blow up the rest of them with fucking rockets and shit. And I'm like, but you were struggling 10 minutes ago. The Hulk shows up and now you're fine. What the fuck?
I think that just shows that together they work as like a really good team, but they don't need every single member there to be
Yeah.
a functional team. Like
Yeah.
you'll see
Yeah.
you see it in the other films, like when they're in Civil War, where they've got Cap, Sam, and Black Widow and Wanda. That's their little team, and then they've got they talk about Code Green. So they get to a point where they don't always need.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, if
and-
in
and
Civil
the-
War they had either the Hulk or Iron Man on either side and the other one on the other, it wasn't going to be happening at a fucking airfield, at an airport, because nothing was going to survive.
I agree with Talora. There is that they fill in each other's gaps,
Yeah, granted.
and
I mean,
there's a lot of stuff that when put together, like Thor and Cap's shield hit, where it
yes.
causes
Yes.
that. They've got really good synergy and they know how to fight together. And when they're together, there's very little that can stop them. That's why Thanos
Well,
managed to do so much damage. It's because he split the team in a way that made it
he picked them off
impossible
one by
for them.
one.
or not really, but because he separated Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man, and they didn't have anybody who could match Thanos's strength.
Yeah,
Because
There was a-
Thanos is an Eternal, so he's strong.
yeah.
There was
So
a comment made that in Endgame where they Tony basically gets upset with Steve and says, "You said we do this together" or whatever like that. But the whole point is they weren't together, and that's why they failed.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the fact that they were divided in that way, it prevented them from doing what they did best. If they had faced Thanos as a complete team, they would have survived.
yeah, so
They would have taken him down a lot easier because they would have been able to synergize and it's proven over and over that when they're together, they read off of each other and they can see what needs to be done.
Well, saying in that, the only thing that works with them and Hulk is if there's a big thing that needs to be taken down, they throw him at it, and then
that's the
they deal
thing.
with all the smaller bits, which is fine. It makes sense. But as soon as it comes to more finesse stuff, they cannot have the Hulk around because of
But
that exact understanding that the Hulk is there to destroy. Whatever's
But then
in his
again,
path,
that's-
he will get rid of.
That about Hulk, they didn't have anybody that could match Thanos in strength, in pure strength. The Hulk would have taken that up.
No, but he couldn't because
But he
the Hulk
couldn't.
did go toe to toe with Thanos and got fucked up. He got
Yes.
beaten to submission.
But that was no, that's what I'm saying is if the Avengers had Hulk, not if it was Hulk v Thanos,
Yes.
but if it was the team versus Thanos, they had
Well, I
somebody
mean,
who
Again,
could
that does come down to what eventually the final battle
exactly because
happened.
they have to have the strength and the brains to know how to fight.
Yeah, but again,
Thanos.
it's you've got this loose cannon that only knows Hulk smash. The only
Yeah,
time you're gonna need him is when you need shit destroyed. And outside of that, you guys they don't want the Hulk around. They want Bruce Banner.
yeah. But
So, but
that's the problem is we can go back and forth arguing.
no,
But
no. So no, I agree with you because a perfect example of this is actually in the animated universe where they actually they talk about Thanos being weak, not being able to use one stone at a time to defeat them, because every single person in the Avengers can counteract one of the individual stones at a time. When it comes to age, Thor and Hulk, well, don't necessarily die from age. They just continue to move forward through time, and they just get longer hair. I mean, you get old Hulk who still, as long as he's angry, won't fucking die. And you get the reality stone. You can't fuck
man,
with
literally
Cap.
too angry to die.
Yeah, that's literally it. And when you get the fucking reality
Well, I mean,
stone.
in the comments, in the comics, Cap, the superhero, the super soldier serum stops Cap from aging, and
Yes.
then there's a point where something goes wrong and he starts aging at a rapid
Yeah.
rate, and that's where Sam takes over.
Reverse
there's been a-
fast forward Benjamin Button. No, so I agree that yes, they are meant to work as a team, and they do have their sole villains to deal with. But there are certain situations where you definitely don't want certain people around. I swear a lot. You don't want me around when you have your nice Christian grandmother. But I swear when my grandmother's around, and she's a nice Christian lady too. So there's different aspects. There's certain times you want people around. Certain times you need certain.
You
things
need
to
Hulk
happen.
smash.
Yeah, you need Hulk smash. You need heavy lifting. You need. Yeah, I mean, again, the only time they ever want him around is for destruction.
But to add to your point, if you look at the Funkos that have been released for pre-order this week, each and every single one of the main 6 were assigned a stone color. So you've got Hawkeye as Soul, I believe.
Yes, because of his connection.
Steve was
Reality.
the Power Stone.
Wasn't
Reality is Natasha.
no, wasn't Steve
I'm-
reality because he's the only one that can tell the difference of whether someone's lying to him. The example was given that they put everyone into a dream state and gave them a mental reality that everything was fine and that they won. And then Captain America went, he's like, no, but Thanos, there was no way we could defeat Thanos that easily, and realized it was a false reality.
When did they
I think
release them?
that was the Mind Stone.
2 nights ago.
I am wrong. Sorry, Captain America was the Mind Stone.
So in there,
Is it the Funcon ones?
let me wait.
Can you drop a link in chat just for
For any
everybody
of those
to
who might
see?
be interested.
Did you see the
Pre-order
new
Funkos now. Funkos, if you any of the Funko creators, if you want to sponsor us, we are absolutely.
We will be very, very happy, and I will put all of them on display.
I don't care about
Did you
putting
see
them
the
on
new
display.
Galactus Funko?
Oh my hat.
Ladies
That's all
and
I
gents,
can
we're not
say.
talking about Funkos. No, but so it's just that whole idea of situational requirement. There's certain times where you don't need Iron Man's cockiness. I mean, that shows when he starts getting over cocky about a certain thing and ends up fucking up. You get Thor, who's rash about his decisions, but feels true to what he does. You get Captain America, who just wants everything to be right.
Oh yes, okay. So Thor is wait, what's purple?
Power.
So Thor's power. Cap is space. Black Widow. No. Captain Marvel is reality. Hawkeye. What is yellow?
That's Soul. That's the Soul Stone.
Soul. Hulk is time and what was orange?
Oh no, the orange is Soul.
No, orange is Soul. Sorry, yellow is Mind.
Yellow is Mind. Blue is power, no space.
Space and
Purple
green
is
is
power,
time.
and green is time.
Yes.
So Hawkeye is soul,
No,
and Iron Man is mind.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're the clear Funkos. That's
And
cool.
I just think it's really, really cool. It's
yeah, I think that does justice to what happened in the actual animated universe, specifically how each one defeated each stone. That's the team is created in the aspect of being able to fight the individual stones in their own power. So as a team, they could defeat the use of the stones completely. But yes, that was my final piece. Hulk, 80% Avengers, the rest of them 10% Avengers.
That's only 90% Avengers. Who's the 10th Avenger? Is it the last 10%?
Thor.
Coulson.
Coulson died.
No, he doesn't.
And he was the motivator.
He died. He died. Okay, he
he
died
was
in
not-
the Avengers. In this Avengers movie, he died in it. They stabbed him
Yeah.
through
Oh,
the
he
chest with.
Died.
He died, and they
He
brought
was
him back.
the motivation for them to, get their
Get
their
their
shit together. Take your shit and put
Put
all
it in
your
a
shit in the
bag.
bag. Take it to the ship museum and leave it alone. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
I dig
give
this.
Coulson at least 10%.
Okay, I'll give Coulson 5 and Thor the other 5. How's that? They're on even playing ground. But we have run a very long phase 1 conversation.
This has been a
with
very long episode.
I think with that in mind, Iron Man 1 was a big discussion because it was the beginning, the apex of everything that was to follow. So I think that was probably why it took so long. And that's again, I enjoy these chats. Love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Love pop culture. But we have run into the 2 hour and 44-minute mark. So 2.5 hours worth of recording.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Long episode, guys.
Worth of
Thank
talking
you.
shit.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
No,
and
thank you.
I look
Thank you.
forward to our next one,
So-
which will be phase 2.
Yeah, so any of you in chat that love these kind of conversations, bring some popcorn. Tell us if you need a break. We'll have like an intermission.
Get your snacks
Get your
ready.
snacks. Get comfy as fuck. This is going to be a long fucking talk. But also a big thank you to Talora. Thank you for joining us. Finally the face
Thank you for having me.
behind. Yes, thank you for the face behind all of the corrections that Con and I failed to fucking get because we totally prepare for any. I think this is the most prepared we've actually been for any of our streams ever. And Waller and Blackleg, yes, awesome stream. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, everyone in chat.
Really, really do.
I think this entire chat, besides Casmadan and myself typing, it has only been Waller. So 100% appreciated to all our viewers. We love you guys. That was amazing. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to my co-hosts, to the guest host who will definitely appear again for phase 2, phase 3, and conversations of phase 4. Hopefully either before the release or after the release of some of them. Or hopefully all of them, because it'll be nice to do a full recap on phase 4. But I thought it was
Well, I'm
amazing.
looking forward to it.
We've had a lot of fun. I know Talora has. She finally gets to talk about everything that's pent up in that mind. That's Marvel information. And gets to show the nerdy side of what we're truly about on this channel. I know Connor definitely loves it. Being able to Google more.
No, that was a good one, guys. I dug that, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, we might have to pay for a podcast update so that we can upload this 2.5 hour worth of content because we only have a limit of 2 hours currently. But as things progress, we'll get better with certain things, and we'll get a lot more going on for us. But again, thank you to everyone. That was
Yeah, thank you,
awesome.
Talora. It was awesome actually having you on the podcast, not just in the chat.
Yeah, no,
Thank you
we
for
kind of
having
have a
me. I had a lot of fun.
catchphrase. We kind of have a catchphrase. Do you know it, Laura?
You're you, and you're you, and you guys have opinions.
We are absolute buggery, and we have opinions.
And Talora, what do you have? What did you have this whole episode?
A lot of opinions.
That's it. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.